Chapter 6:12. Qi Shiwei wanted to see the child. Shiwei, your body is very weak now. Why don't you go after you recover a little? I know my body is very weak. I just want to take a look. Can I take a look? When Qi Shiwei finished speaking in a hoarse voice, she was about to sit up when Hu Jinyao held her down in time. Shiwei, wait a moment. Seeing her like this, Hu Jinyao almost didn't know what to say next. What? Hu Jinyao closed his eyes. He felt a little helpless, but he had to say it. Your child was not saved. Qi Shiwei was stunned. She blinked her eyes and didn't know what expression to put on her weak face. She just stared at Hu Jinyao. After saying that, Hu Jinyao couldn't say anything else. He could only look at her. After a few minutes, Qi Shiwei finally found her voice. Jinyao, are you joking? Hu Jinyao's expression was evasive. Not everyone could remain indifferent to the loss of a life. Jinyao, this joke is not funny. With a slight smile on her face, she looked reluctant. Obviously, she did not want to believe Hu Jinyao's words. Hu Jinyao knew that she wouldn't accept it so easily, but he still had to say something. Shiwei, your health isn't very good. This child stopped breathing the moment he was born. My condolences. He wasn't very good at comforting people. His feeble consolation sounded more or less powerless. Don't talk nonsense. Qi Shiwei didn't accept this result. Impossible. This was impossible. I clearly felt him moving in my stomach yesterday. He's fine, he's clearly fine. She became excited. Hu Jinyao's face was full of helplessness. Shiwei, calm down. I don't believe it. My child. I want my child. I don't believe he's dead. You lied to me, you must have lied to me. Qi Shiwei sat up and reached out to pull out the needle in her hand. Hu Jinyao quickly stopped her. He held her hand down to keep her from moving. Shiwei, calm down. Your child is gone. Gone. Calm down, don't let him feel uneasy. Nonsense, you're lying to me. I don't believe it. I don't believe a word of it. Go away. Qi Shiwei struggled and insisted on pulling out the needle. She was determined to see her child. She had just given birth, so she shouldn't be very strong. However, now that she was stubborn, and Hu Jinyao was afraid of accidentally hurting her, he couldn't hold her down for a moment. Shiwei, calm down. Get out of my way, get out of my way. I'm going to see my baby. I'm going to see her. Qi Shiwei didn't want to listen to Hu Jinyao at all. She insisted on pulling out her needle. When Su Qingsang opened the door, she saw the scene in front of her. Qi Shiwei seemed to be about to get up, but Hu Jinyao pressed her down. From her point of view, the two of them seemed to be hugging each other. Shiwei, calm down. Go away, I hate you, you lied to me. My baby's fine. Where did he die? You lied to me. Go away. Su Qingsang listened to the conversation between the two of them. What else did she not understand? She frowned slightly and was about to go forward. Qi Shiwei's body was already weak, and her emotions were fluctuating so much. Before Su Qingsang could go forward to help Hu Jinyao calm her down, she had already fainted. Shiwei? Shiwei? Excuse me, let me take a look at her. Seeing Su Qingsang enter the door, Hu Jinyao moved his body to the side. Qingsang, you're here? Quick, look at her. She fainted. I know. Su Qingsang went forward to examine Qi Shiwei. A few minutes later, she looked at Hu Jinyao with a solemn expression. Her health wasn't good to begin with, and her previous pregnancy consumed too much of her vitality. Although the wound hasn't split open, her qi and blood are insufficient, and her health is very poor. If possible, try not to let her be stimulated again. Hu Jinyao looked at Su Qingsang. At this moment, she was completely a professional doctor. He knew that what she said made sense, but the problem was that some things were out of his control. She became like this when she heard that the child was gone. Hu Jinyao's voice was very low. Whether it was because of their friendship as classmates or because she had saved his life before, he didn't want Qi Shiwei to become like this. Su Qingsang looked at Qi Shiwei on the hospital bed and said softly, "Give her some time. I believe she'll slowly accept it." Su Qingsang had been in the hospital for a long time, and she had seen many such situations. Hu Jinyao was silent. He was only worried that Qi Shiwei wouldn't be able to accept it in the end. After all, he could feel how much she cared about this child. Have you eaten? Su Qingsang looked at Hu Jinyao's solemn expression and looked at the time. It was already past 8 in the evening. I ate a little. When he was dealing with work just now, Yang Wenshang had brought him dinner, but he didn't have much appetite. What about you? Have you eaten? Hu Jinyao looked at the white coat on Su Qingsang. Was she going to be on duty today? Su Qingsang was on duty today, so she had just gone to the cafeteria to eat. By the way, did you hire a nurse for her? Yes. The nurse will come over later. Su Qingsang turned her head to look at him. The meaning in her eyes was unclear. Don't tell me you want to stay here with her today? She has no other relatives now. I can't leave her alone. Su Qingsang took 2 steps forward and stood in front of Hu Jinyao. Should I praise you for being a good person, or should I say that you don't know your limits and don't know how to keep your distance from other women? Hu Jinyao looked at the expressionless Su Qingsang. Are you angry? Can't I be angry? Su Qingsang spread her hands. My husband plans to stay here with another woman for the night. Do you think I can't be angry? She's in a special situation now. So, she needs you to accompany her? Can't she hire a nurse? Qingsang? She wasn't usually such a petty person. Hu Jinyao was a little anxious and wanted to explain. Qingsang, she just lost her child, so her mood isn't very stable. She doesn't have any relatives in Rong City. I'm teasing you. Su Qingsang glanced at him and smiled. It's okay. You stay here. I'll go on the night shift. I'll come over to accompany you later when I'm free. Qingsang. Hu Jinyao looked at her and was surprised. You're really not angry? I'm really not. Su Qingsang looked at the time. She still had to go check the room. All right, you stay here with her. I'm not such a petty person. Hu Jinyao was relieved. He reached out and rubbed Su Qingsang's hair. All right, I'm leaving. Su Qingsang was about to leave, but Hu Jinyao reached out and hugged her. Qi Shiwei had done him a favor, and she had no other relatives in Rong City. No one else could help her except him. What? Are you touched? Su Qingsang turned her face to look at him with a faint smile in her eyes. If you're touched, remember to treat me well. Otherwise, I won't let you off. Don't worry, that day won't come. After Su Qingsang left, the nurse came. The nurse was a woman in her 30s with the surname Jiang. Because Qi Shiwei's condition was unstable today, Hu Jinyao asked her to go back first and come back tomorrow morning. He stayed in the ward to deal with his work. When it came to Qi Shiwei, she didn't wake up again. He had just finished dealing with all the work and saved the information on the computer. Just as he was about to get up and move his body, the door of the ward was pushed open. The person in front of him was Lian Jin. Seeing that it was him, Hu Jinyao's expression didn't look too good. What are you doing here? Lian Jin didn't even look at him. He walked past him and was about to walk inside. There were still injuries on his face from Hu Jinyao's beating. There were several bruises on his face. These made him look a little disheveled. Hu Jinyao stood in front of him and looked at the injuries on his face. What? You still want to be beaten up by me again? Get lost. Lian Jin reached out to push Hu Jinyao. I'm here to see my wife. What does it have to do with you? So what if Shiwei is your wife? I only know that she doesn't want to see you now, and she won't see you. Get out of the way. This has nothing to do with you. Lian Jin rushed forward to wake Qi Shiwei up, but Hu Jinyao blocked him with one hand. His narrowed eyes revealed a hint of sharpness. If you don't want me to call someone to throw you out of the hospital, you can continue walking. Lian Jin had suffered a loss at Hu Jinyao's hands. Looking at him, he nodded hatefully. It's fine if I don't wake her up. Give me the child and I'll leave now. At the mention of the child, Hu Jinyao's expression changed. There's no child. What do you mean? The child wasn't saved. The child wasn't saved? Lian Jin was stunned for a moment before he quickly smiled. Don't try to lie to me. It's impossible. How could it not be saved? The child really wasn't saved. If you're here to have a child, you can go back now. Lien Jin sneered. He took a step forward and looked at Hu Jinyao in front of him. Where did you hide the child? I didn't hide it anywhere. I told you, the child wasn't saved. Hu Jinyao looked regretful when he thought of the child. Heh, do you think I'll believe you when you say that? You don't have to believe me. You can ask the doctor. That child really wasn't saved. Lien Jin nodded. Ask the doctor? Your Hu family has a big business. How do I know that you didn't collude with the doctor? If you want to think that way, I can't help it. Hu Jinyao frowned. He looked at Qi Shiwei, who was still frowning even though she was asleep on the bed. His voice was very soft. Lien Jin didn't believe Hu Jinyao's words at all. Don't think I don't know. You know all those doctors. It took him a lot of effort to find this side. Not only did he find it, but he also asked about it. The doctor who performed the surgery was called Su Qingsang. He also found out that Hu Jinyao and Su Qingsang were husband and wife. Husband and wife. Hu Jinyao frowned. The man in front of him didn't make sense at all. Lien Jin didn't want to talk to Hu Jinyao nicely either. Hand over the child and I'll leave. Otherwise, I won't be polite. I told you, the child wasn't saved. It's useless for you to look for me. You weren't saved? How can you be so calm if you weren't saved? Lien Jin didn't believe him at all. I don't care. Hand over the child for me. Hu Jinyao couldn't communicate with Lien Jin, and he didn't want Lien Jin to wake Qi Shiwei up. She was already very agitated. If she saw Lien Jin and became agitated again, something might happen. That wasn't what he wanted to see. He didn't respond, and Lien Jin pestered him even more. He insisted that Hu Jinyao was feeling guilty. Hu Jinyao was impatient to argue with him. He sent a message to Yang Wenchang and asked him to call a few people over. Lien Jin was still pestering him. Hu Jinyao lost his patience. Almost as soon as Yang Wenchang came up, he signaled that he could take Lien Jin away. How could Lien Jin leave just like that? He hadn't even seen his child yet. He started to make a fuss again, but it was useless this time. The people Yang Wenchang brought were quite powerful. In just a few days, Lien Jin was dragged away. Lien Jin was brought away by the people Yang Wenchang brought. His shoulder was pinched by the special forces, and he couldn't move at all. He wasn't short of money, but when he left, he glared at Hu Jinyao with hatred. Hu Jinyao, I won't let this go. Let me tell you, if you don't give me the child, I won't let this go. You can think whatever you want. I'll say it again. The child wasn't saved. He's no longer here. He waved his hand and had Lien Jin dragged out. Lien Jin was taken away, and the ward returned to silence. In just a short while, Su Qingsang was shocked. She came over and asked Hu Jinyao with concern what was going on. It's fine. It's all settled. Hu Jinyao met the concern in Su Qingsang's eyes and smiled at her. Are you done with your night shift? Do you want to rest? No, I'm on the night shift today. I won't leave until tomorrow morning. Su Qingsang looked in Qi Shiwei's direction. Is she still not awake? No. She hadn't woken up even after the commotion just now. Hu Jinyao couldn't help but be a little worried. It's fine. She's just too weak. Just let her sleep for a while. Su Qingsang had examined Qi Shiwei in detail. There wasn't much wrong with her body, but she was still too weak. In the current situation, it was normal for her to be unconscious for a long time. It was just that Qi Shiwei was unconscious for a long time. She slept until the next morning. The nurse, Xiao Jiang, had already arrived. Hu Jinyao had slept in the ward for a while yesterday. Su Qingsang had come to see him a few times. Seeing that Qi Shiwei had woken up, he asked Xiao Jiang to heat up the soup that he had asked Yang Wenchang to deliver. He turned around and saw that Qi Shiwei's eyes were wide open as she stared straight at the ceiling. Shiwei, are you okay? How do you feel? Qi Shiwei didn't hear Hu Jinyao's words at all. She remained in that position, staring at the sky above her head. Qi Shiwei in this state was even more worrying than yesterday when she was hysterical. Shiwei, can you say something? Qi Shiwei didn't react. It was as if she didn't hear him. Shiwei, Qi Shiwei? Qi Shiwei blinked and turned to look at Hu Jinyao. Why are you still here? Shiwei, are you okay? You can go. Qi Shiwei looked at him, but her gaze didn't seem to be focused. I'm fine. I'm fine. Shiwei. She was in a good state? Hua Jinyao began to worry. You can go. I said I'm fine. Seeing that Hua Jinyao was standing there motionless, she added, You've been guarding me here all night, right? Aren't you afraid that your wife will misunderstand? Hurry up and leave. She won't misunderstand. I told her. No woman would be so generous. She doesn't mind. Qi Shiwei looked at him expressionlessly. You can go. I want to be alone for a while. After she said this, Hua Jinyao had no choice but to leave. Before he left, he looked at Qi Shiwei with a worried expression. Shiwei, if anything happens to you, call me. Tianyu Group was very close to the first hospital. And Su Qingsang was here. When the time came, he would tell her to let the other doctors keep an eye on her. Qi Shiwei saw that Hua Jinyao was still motionless. You can go. I told you, I want to be alone. Hua Jinyao had no choice but to leave. He wanted Xiao Jiang to stay, but Xiao Jiang was also chased away by Qi Shiwei. Hua Jinyao walked to the door and looked at Qi Shiwei one last time. Shiwei, you have to calm down. I told you to calm down. Xiao Jiang is right outside. If there's anything, just call me. He thought of the 2 pregnant women who had an accident in Su Qingsang's hospital in Lin City. His back felt a chill. Shiwei, no matter what you're thinking now, you have to remember that the most important thing is to be alive. Nothing is more important than life. Qi Shiwei heard this. She turned her face and looked at Hua Jinyao blankly. What? Do you think I'll commit suicide? Don't worry. I won't do such a cowardly thing. After saying this, she closed her eyes and refused to look at Hua Jinyao again. Hua Jinyao had no choice but to leave. Before he left, he instructed Xiao Jiang to guard the door and pay attention to the movements inside. After leaving the ward, he went straight to Su Qingsang's office. She had been on the night shift for the whole night and was already very tired. At this moment, she was sleeping on the small bed in the duty room. When she saw Hua Jinyao come, she yawned and sat up. Why are you here? Have you had breakfast? Yes. Hua Jinyao nodded. Looking at the fatigue on her face, he felt a little heartache. Aren't you off work? Why aren't you home yet? I'll go back later. There's a meeting in the courtyard later. I'll go home after the meeting. Don't be too tired. If you don't have the energy for that meeting, let director's son apply for leave for you. Stop fooling around. It's just a meeting. How tired can I be? Don't always think about giving me special treatment. Su Qingsang stretched and felt much more awake. Her gaze fell on Hua Jinyao. He seemed to be in good spirits. How is she? Is she awake? Is she okay? She's awake. She's fine for the time being. Hua Jinyao thought of Qi Shiwei's performance just now. She was so calm that she didn't look like someone who had just lost a child. He told Su Qingsang about her condition. There was indeed a hint of worry in his words. Do you think she'll take things too hard? In fact, the Qi Shiwei he knew was a very strong-willed person. However, he could tell that Qi Shiwei's recent condition was obviously not good. He was very afraid that she would be impulsive or take things too hard. I don't know. Su Qingsang shook her head. Some women could slowly recover after losing their children, but some people had to spend a long time to get over that kind of pain. I'll see her later. I think my identity as a doctor will always make her feel better. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. Your friend is also my friend. Besides, she's my patient. Don't worry. I'll definitely let the other colleagues keep an eye on her. Okay. Hua Jinyao was naturally willing to believe that Qi Shiwei wasn't such a fragile person. He still had something to do at the company. After asking Su Qingsang to take care of her, he left. Su Qingsang looked at the time. There was still nearly an hour before the meeting. She went back to sleep for a while. When she woke up, she washed her face in the bathroom of the duty room. She woke up and tidied herself up before heading to the meeting room. In the obstetrics and gynecology department, apart from the doctors in the outpatient department, Chief Sun, Deputy Chief Shin, Yang Lu, Zheng Chenyu, and Ling Fei were all there. There were also some people from other departments. Su Qingsang knew some of them, but she didn't know some of them. The meeting soon began. Su Qing-sang listened for a while before the door of the meeting room was pushed open. The head nurse, Li Meilin, stood at the door. Behind her were 2 uniformed police officers. Everyone looked at the door, and Su Qing-sang also looked at Li Meilin. What was going on in front of her? Police officers? Deputy Director Zhou Xiaonan, who was in charge of the meeting, stood up. Before he could say anything, the 2 police officers had already walked to Su Qing-sang and stood in front of her. "You're Su Qing-sang?" The 2 police officers looked at Su Qing-sang from head to toe, as if they were confirming it. One of the older policewomen was the first to ask. "Yes, I'm Su Qing-sang." Su Qing-sang was sitting near the bottom of the meeting room. When she was suddenly called up by the police for questioning, she stood up as well. "Are you a doctor in the obstetrics and gynecology department?" Su Qing-sang blinked her eyes and subconsciously looked at Sun Huya. Sun Huya was also a little confused. Her eyes were filled with worry. She didn't understand why the police were asking these questions. "Yesterday, you delivered a child to a pregnant woman?" "Yes." The policewoman's voice was a little cold. Su Qing-sang nodded. She had only performed 1 delivery surgery yesterday, and it was Qi Shiwei's. "Is that child dead?" "Yes." Su Qing-sang nodded. She didn't understand what the other party wanted to ask. The policewoman showed her ID to Su Qing-sang, then looked at her with a serious face. "Ms. Su Qing-sang, we suspect that you are related to a murder case. Please come with us to assist in the investigation." "What?" Su Qing-sang thought that she had heard wrongly. "What case did you say?" "A murder case." The policewoman's attitude was not bad. She repeated, "You are suspected of murdering Ms. Qi Shiwei's newborn baby. Now, please come with us." Su Qing-sang's lips moved. This time, she glanced at Sun Huya again. Sun Huya was already anxious when she heard this. She stood up and walked to Su Qing-sang's side. "Police comrade, are you mistaken? Qing-sang is just a doctor. The child's death has nothing to do with her. Here's the thing, I'm sorry, regardless of whether she did it or not, we need her to go with us to assist in the investigation. But there's no such thing. If there's no such thing, we will naturally clear her name. Now, come with us." Chapter 613. It was Su Qing-sang's first time coming to a place like the police station. She was taken to a small dark room. She had watched TV before. When her eyes met the glass, she knew that someone was staring at them. Su Qing-sang wasn't afraid. Instead, she felt that it was a little novel. A normal person would never come to a place like this in their lifetime. It was a rare experience. The 2 policemen who brought her here happened to be a man and a woman. The policewoman saw her coming. Not only did she not panic, but she also looked so calm. This person was either too magnanimous or too good at acting. "Sit down," the policewoman said. Su Qing-sang looked at the table. There were 2 chairs on one side and one on the other. The armrest of the chair looked like the kind that could be used to handcuff a prisoner in movies and TV shows. Su Qing-sang frowned. She was only here to assist in the investigation today. Why were these people treating her like a prisoner now? "Su Qing-sang, sit down." The policewoman called again, her voice obviously reprimanding. Su Qing-sang glanced at her indifferently and stepped forward to sit down on the chair. Fortunately, the person didn't handcuff her. Otherwise, she couldn't guarantee that she would still be able to cooperate. The 2 policemen sat down opposite her. As soon as the light was turned on, Su Qing-sang instinctively closed her eyes. "Su Qing-sang?" The policewoman took out a notebook, opened it, and began to record Su Qing-sang's statement. "Name?" "Su Qing-sang." Su Qing-sang felt that it was a little funny. The other party had just called her name, but now they were asking her what her name was? "Gender?" "Female." "Profession?" "Doctor." "Obstetrician and gynecologist at the first hospital?" "Yes." "You did an operation yesterday?" "Yes." "What operation?" "A cesarean section." The other party already knew, but still came to ask. Su Qing-sang was quite helpless. The questions that the other party wanted to ask were very simple, and she cooperated and answered them. The first few were all appetizers. Soon it was the main point. Someone is accusing you of murdering the newborn baby that you delivered yesterday. Su Qingsang froze for a moment. Even though she knew her crime, she still couldn't help but laugh when she heard it unexpectedly. Comrade, are you kidding? Be serious. Police comrade, I did perform a cesarean section yesterday. I was the chief surgeon. The baby wasn't breathing when it was born. How did it become me who murdered the child? The two policemen looked at each other, and the policewoman looked at Su Qingsang. Su Qingsang, the informant said that you could have killed the baby during the delivery. Officer, you might not understand, but I don't have the final say in the operating theater. It was impossible for a surgery to be completed by only one person. For a cesarean section, other than the chief surgeon, which is me, there are also assistant doctors, midwives, nurses, and anesthetists in the operating theater. I would like to ask, how can we kill that newborn baby in front of so many people? You mean you have nothing to do with the baby's death? Of course. Su Qingsang's voice was very soft. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other doctors, nurses, and my other colleagues in the operating room yesterday. They can prove that I'm not lying. Then do you admit that it might be because of your improper operation during the operation, because of your delay, that the baby died? In other words, even if you didn't do it on purpose, there was still a medical problem? Su Qingsang felt like laughing at that moment. Judging from the other party's attitude, it seemed like she had to put some kind of crime on her head. As I said just now, the operating theater isn't mine alone. All our operations are strictly according to the doctor's ethics. So I don't think there's a medical problem with me. So you insist that the baby's death has nothing to do with you? I'm also very sorry that I didn't succeed in saving the baby's life. Not to mention the fact that Qi Shiwei had saved Hua Jinyao's life. Even if she was just an ordinary doctor, she wouldn't leave him in the lurch. Don't you have any responsibility for this medical accident? The policewoman's words were very rude, and Su Qingsang frowned. Officer, first of all, this isn't a medical accident. This is just an accident that we don't want to happen, but it happened. Second, doctors are just doctors, ordinary people. If we can cure all diseases, if we can save all lives, then we're no longer humans, we're gods. We're not gods. We can't save all lives. Although we hope so, we can't do it. Su Qingsang's voice was very soft. As a doctor, she had sworn an oath on the day she graduated from medical school. But sometimes, even if they tried their best, it was impossible for the results to be perfect. The two policemen looked at each other, and finally, one of the doctors looked at Su Qingsang. Su Qingsang, you don't need to brag here, and you don't need to defend yourself here. Since we've called you here for questioning, it's because you have the motive to hurt that baby. I have a motive. What motive did she have? That's right. The policewoman nodded. At this point, do you still not want to confess? Sorry, I don't quite understand what you mean. What do I have to confess? You have a grudge against that woman. Su Qingsang almost choked on her own saliva. I have a grudge against that woman? When she said me, she specially pointed at herself, her face full of disbelief. When did she have a grudge against Qi Shiwei? That's right. The male policeman nodded and his voice was very calm. We already have all the evidence and the situation, so it's better for you to be honest. Evidence? What evidence? What does the woman who lost her child have to do with you? Do you really not want to confess? I'm sorry, Comrade Police. I really don't know what my relationship with her is. Why don't you tell me? The policewoman nodded. It seems that you won't give up until you reach the Yellow River. As she spoke, she took out a document from the side and spread it in front of Su Qingsang. Qi Shiwei, female, 30 years old this year. From Rong City. She used to be a couple with your husband, Hua Jinyao, at Yale University. Ever since Qi Shiwei returned to the country, she has been in contact with Hua Jinyao. We have evidence that Hua Jinyao has been in and out of the villa where Qi Shiwei lives many times. Su Qingsang blinked and looked at the few photos on the document. One of them was Hua Jinyao entering a villa, and the other was Hua Jinyao sitting in the garden with Qi Shiwei. Hua Jinyao seemed to be hugging Qi Shiwei. His hand was on Qi Shiwei's waist, and the two of them looked extremely intimate. Su Qingsang furrowed her brows slightly when she saw the photo. Her expression seemed to confirm the police's guess. The policewoman took the document back. The expression on her face was colder than before. Now, can you confess? What do you want me to confess to? Su Qingsang, you have to know that it's not good for you to be like this now. The policewoman knocked on the table with a threatening look on her face. Leniency for confessing, severity for resistance. You should have heard of this before, right? I've heard of it, but I don't quite understand. What do I have to confess to? Are you still playing dumb? The male policeman slammed the table hard. You clearly knew that Hu Jinyao was in a relationship with Qi Shiwei. You were indignant. That's why you thought of a way to secretly kill him. But you knew that you couldn't kill Qi Shiwei, so you attacked that child, right? Su Qingsang couldn't even laugh now. She looked at the male policeman with a hint of mockery on her face. Do you police officers now not care about evidence but rely on guesses to solve cases? Su Qingsang, be honest. Su Qingsang smiled and looked at the two policemen in front of her. I just want to ask, do you have any evidence? Su Qingsang, it's useless to argue. Please answer our questions honestly. You killed Qi Shiwei's child because you were unhappy with your husband's relationship with Qi Shiwei, didn't you? Comrade policeman, from now on, I refuse to answer any of your questions. Su Qingsang's temper flared up. She placed her hands on the table and looked at the two policemen in front of her with an extremely serious expression. Either you show me the evidence and send me to prison in an open and above-board manner. Or, please let me go. You have no reason, and you can't pin such a serious crime on me just because of a groundless guess. Su Qingsang, do you really think we can't do anything to you? The policewoman glared at Su Qingsang with obvious dissatisfaction in her eyes. I'll say it again. Please be honest. I refuse. Su Qingsang threw out these 3 words and didn't answer any of the other party's questions. Now, she was only waiting for Hu Jinyao to find a lawyer to get her out of here. She believed that Hu Jinyao wouldn't let her down. When Hu Jinyao went to the hospital, he didn't know that Su Qingsang had been taken away. After all, no one told him. He first went to Qi Shiwei's ward. After Xiao Jiang called him and said that a man had come to the ward, Qi Shiwei was very agitated and was in a pinch. When he entered the ward, Qi Shiwei was sitting on the bed. She had just given birth, and she was very weak. But even so, she still glared at the person in front of her with hatred. Lian Jin stood about a meter away from the bed. There was still Xiao Jiang between him and Qi Shiwei. Xiao Jiang stood in front of Lian Jin and looked at him with fear and worry in her eyes. Seeing that Hu Jinyao had arrived, Lian Jin sneered. What? Do you think you don't have to solve the problem between us just because you called your lover? Lian Jin, I have nothing to say to you. Get lost. Qi Shiwei was so angry that her chest rose and fell violently. She was like a piece of paper floating in the wind, feeling as if she could fall at any moment. Hu Jinyao took 2 steps forward and stood in front of Lian Jin in place of Xiao Jiang. It seems that I was too polite to you yesterday. Yang Wenshang had already called for people to guard outside. As long as he called for them, they could come in at any time and throw Lian Jin out of the hospital. Hu Jinyao, you still have time to care about me now? Lian Jin looked at Hu Jinyao and smiled meaningfully. TSK, I really can tell that you still have such deep feelings for this woman. Lian Jin, keep your mouth clean. Hu Jinyao's eyes were sharp, and his expression was sinister. What? Are you angry from embarrassment? You don't even care about your wife for this woman. Did I say something wrong? What did he mean? Before Hu Jinyao could react, Lian Jin sneered and looked past Hu Jinyao at Qi Shiwei, who was lying on the hospital bed. Qi Shiwei, either hand over the child to me. Or, I can only think of another way to get you to hand over the child. Get lost. Qi Shiwei had already lost that child, and she was already sad enough. But Lian Jin was adding insult to injury. She couldn't help but feel angry. Lian Jin, if you don't leave now, do you believe that I'll die with you? Lian Jin sneered and looked at Hu Jinyao. Just as he was about to say something, he turned to look at her because of Qi Shiwei's words. Shiwei, don't be impulsive. There's no need to lower yourself to the same level as such a person. As he spoke, he called Yang Wenchang over and asked him to bring his men to throw Lian Jin out. This time, Lian Jin had a smile on his face. That smile had a deeper meaning. Hua Jinyao, if you have the ability, guard her for the rest of your life. I'd like to see if you'll regret it in the end. Hua Jinyao was impatient to listen to his nonsense. He waved his hand and asked Yang Wenchang to take him away. After Lian Jin left, Qi Shiwei almost lost all her strength. Her body went limp and she fell back. Xiao Jiang took a pillow and placed it behind her, then helped her steady herself. She sat there leaning against the headboard, her face devoid of any color. Hua Jinyao asked Xiao Jiang to go out and instructed Yang Wenchang to get someone to guard the door of the ward. Only then did he return to the bed and look at Qi Shiwei with a worried expression. Shiwei, do you need me to help you find a new place? Qi Shiwei sat there woodenly. When she heard Hua Jinyao's words, she looked up at him. Why look for a new place? I'm so weak now. If he comes looking for me again, it'll be useless no matter where I go. Hua Jinyao's brows were tightly knitted together. He had never asked Qi Shiwei about her and Lian Jin, but now that Lian Jin had come looking for her again and again, he really couldn't guard her for the rest of his life. Aren't you divorced with him? Do you need to call the police? Let the police handle it. Qi Shiwei looked at him and suddenly laughed. Divorce? Heh, how could that pervert let me off so easily? Shiwei? Hua Jinyao was even more confused by her expression. What exactly happened between you and him? Qi Shiwei glanced at Hua Jinyao, lowered her head, and placed her hand on her abdomen. There used to be a child there, but that child was no longer there. She had always been running away and hiding. She thought that she could hide. But it seemed that at this moment, she realized that she couldn't hide at all. Chapter 614. Qi Shiwei's hand froze on her abdomen. She sat on the hospital bed, looking lifeless. Her eyes were lifeless as well. She was staring at an unknown point. Do you still remember my stepmother? Your stepmother? Isn't she in prison? Yes. She's in prison. Qi Shiwei chuckled. Her voice was extremely sarcastic. She's in prison, and she died in prison. Hua Jinyao's eyes widened. If he remembered correctly, Qi Shiwei's stepmother was sentenced to 15 years in prison. I don't know whose retribution this is. Is it mine? It was Lian Jin's. All right, his full name was not Lian Jin, but Shen Jin. Lian is his mother's surname. She is my stepmother, Shen Mingzhu's younger brother. What? This time, even Hua Jinyao was surprised. Are you saying that Lian Jin is your stepmother's younger brother? Are you sure? He said it himself. Qi Shiwei's expression didn't change. She didn't want to recall her stupidity. But in fact, she was really stupid. For so many years, she had rejected the advances of those men. Firstly, she hadn't met anyone that she liked. Secondly, she always thought that if she had the chance, she would still want to find a Chinese man. Just the year before last, Shen Jin appeared in front of her under the alias of Lian Jin. At first, Lian Jin was a marketing director of her partner company. They were both from China and were both struggling in a foreign country. When working together, Qi Shiwei was more patient with Lian Jin than with others. Soon, she admired Lian Jin's ability in public affairs. Outside of work, Lian Jin began to contact her in private. She was a very slow person to warm up. Back then, Hua Jinyao was so outstanding, but she didn't fall in love with him. Therefore, Qi Shiwei even thought that she would never fall in love with another man in her life. After all, there were very few men in the world who were more outstanding and had a better personality than Hua Jinyao. She was wary of others, so Lian Jin patiently expressed his goodwill and approached her again and again. She didn't believe in men, so Lian Jin kept putting down his pride and using his own efforts to move her. Again and again. Qi Shiwei's heart wasn't made of iron. What's more, she was struggling alone in a foreign land. She had also experienced her father's affair and her mother's death. Deep in her bones, she longed for warmth and love. Lian Jin spent nearly a year pursuing her. She was finally moved. On Lian Jin's birthday, she agreed to live with him. During the first half of their cohabitation, she lived a very happy life. She thought she was the happiest woman in the world. However, the more blissful she felt before, the more painful she felt afterwards. Half a year later, Lian Jin began to leave early and return late. At first, she could convince herself that he was busy with work. However, as she continued to discover women's perfume, women's hair, and even other women's lips on his body, she could no longer deceive herself. She quarreled with Lian Jin and argued with him. Lian Jin said that he had made a mistake and asked her to forgive him. In his pleading, she forgave him for the first time. But reality told him that if there was a first, there would be a second. If there were two, there would be three. After that, Lian Jin reverted to his old ways, and Qi Shiwei couldn't take it anymore. One day, when Lian Jin returned late, she told Lian Jin that she wanted to break up. Lian Jin, that pervert, imprisoned her at that time. He threw away all her clothes and left her naked at home. But he still went out every day and came back to deliberately let her see the traces of other women on his body. In the end, he even openly brought other women back. He let her watch him make out with other women. Qi Shiwei was almost driven crazy by Lian Jin. That day, she held a knife and was about to stab Lian Jin, but she was a woman and couldn't beat Lian Jin in martial arts, so the knife was taken away by him. When Qi Shiwei was about to break up and sue him, Lian Jin told her, if she wanted to break up, she could forget about it. What he wanted to do was to torture her. He wanted to torture her all the time. To make her suffer. Qi Shiwei didn't understand and asked Lian Jin why. Shen Mingzhu, do you still remember? For you. I'm Shen Jin, Shen Mingzhu's younger brother. Lian Jin and Shen Mingzhu had a good relationship. In the early years, the family's conditions were poor, and Shen Mingzhu worked a few jobs to reduce the burden on the family. Later, when she went to work, most of her salary was given to the family. Lian Jin had deep feelings for her. Later, Shen Mingzhu married someone. Although that man was more than 10 years older than Shen Mingzhu, he treated Shen Mingzhu very well. The Shen family had no objections. But the Shen family didn't expect that Shen Mingzhu would be sent to prison after being married for less than 10 years. The Shen family couldn't accept this fact. They appealed, but it was useless. The evidence was conclusive. Shen Mingzhu was sentenced to 15 years. 15 years. When she came out, she was already old. Shen Jin was the first to not accept it. But what they didn't expect was yet to come. Not long after Shen Mingzhu went to prison, she actually had a miscarriage. It turned out that she already had a child when she was locked up, but she hadn't gotten pregnant for so many years. In addition, she was distracted by the fact that she was arrested. By the time she found out, the child was already gone. Shen Mingzhu lost her child. A place like prison couldn't have a good environment. Her health deteriorated. Not long after, the prison transferred them to a prison in a neighboring city because of the new protective equipment. Shen Mingzhu, who had changed to a new environment, was bullied. Once, she had a conflict with a cellmate. In the end, because she was too weak, she was seriously injured by the other party. Not long after she was sent to the hospital for emergency treatment, she passed away. That person was naturally sentenced. But all of this was meaningless to Lian Jin. After Shen Mingzhu died, the Shen family's parents were sad every day. Especially Mother Shen. Because the knot in her heart couldn't be resolved, she followed after 2 years. On the day Mother Shen passed away, Father Shen couldn't take the blow and ran off to become a monk. To Lian Jin, a good family was torn apart just like that. After his mother passed away and his father became a monk, he was depressed for a long time. Later, he understood. All of this was Qi Shiwei's fault. If she hadn't sent Shen Mingzhu to prison, if it hadn't been for Qi Shiwei, how could the Shen family have become like this? Lian Jin thought it through and decided to take revenge. The simplest and most direct revenge was to make Qi Shiwei suffer. He didn't want to kill Qi Shiwei. After all, he didn't want to go to prison. After thinking about it, he finally thought of a way. It was a brilliant way to take revenge. Previously, Qi Shiwei had lost a lot of money because she died in prison. Lian Jin took the money and followed her out of the country. With money, a lot of things would become very simple. Moreover, he was quite lucky. When he was looking for a job, he met his later boss. That boss appreciated his enthusiasm and drive. So he kept helping him. After having the ability, Lien Jin began to investigate Qi Shiwei. Then he got close to her. Perhaps the heavens were helping him. The company that Qi Shiwei worked for actually had a cooperation with their company? The heavens were simply helping him. Everything that happened next was much simpler. Lien Jin approached step by step, and step by step, Qi Shiwei let down her guard. In the end, Qi Shiwei fell in love with him. When she loved him so much that she couldn't extricate herself, Lien Jin decided to take the last step of revenge. Qi Shiwei didn't expect Lien Jin's true identity to be her stepmother's younger brother. After knowing Lien Jin's identity, she decided not to let him do whatever he wanted. She thought of a way to steal the woman's phone and call the police when Lien Jin brought another woman over again. The police arrived very quickly, but because Lien Jin had evidence to prove that they were husband and wife, the police didn't interfere too much in their affairs. Under Qi Shiwei's constant requests, she was finally able to leave Lien Jin's place. Lien Jin was also warned by the police. They said that even if they were husband and wife, he couldn't lock his wife up. Lien Jin's attitude was very good again, indicating that he would definitely be careful in the future. Qi Shiwei said that she wanted a divorce, and the police didn't interfere in such matters. They thought that it was their own business. Qi Shiwei had no choice but to give Lien Jin the divorce agreement and find a lawyer. She, who thought that Lien Jin wouldn't dare to come again, also returned to the company after being tormented. She started working. In order to stop herself from thinking about that bastard Lien Jin, she devoted all her energy to work. That was how the proposal came about. After she made the proposal, Lien Jin came out. He came to her door and raped her. Qi Shiwei already knew that there was no way to call the police. She and Lien Jin were husband and wife, so Lien Jin could do whatever he wanted. Moreover, with the evidence, it was useless for Qi Shiwei to defend herself. Because Lien Jin actually had the photos of her in bed with him. There was also the video, plus their relationship as husband and wife. She had no way to get rid of Lien Jin and face Lien Jin's repeated harassment. Qi Shiwei was mentally and physically exhausted. But she didn't expect that she was already pregnant at this time. Moreover, it had already been more than 3 months. In addition, her health was already poor to begin with. The doctor told her that if she chose to abort the child, the end result would be that she might never have a child of her own again. Qi Shiwei, who was in a dilemma and constantly conflicted, finally chose to keep the child. She was now alone. If possible, she wanted to have a child. That way, she wouldn't be lonely in the future. That was good too. The child was hers alone. She didn't expect Lien Jin to come looking for her again at that time. Qi Shiwei had no choice but to escape back to the country. Her mother had left her a sum of money, including the villa she was living in now. She chose to stay here to keep the baby. Firstly, she didn't have the energy, and secondly, she thought about how Hu Jinyao had taken care of her before. So she gave the proposal to Hu Jinyao. She thought that she could give birth to the child safely, but she didn't expect Lien Jin to come looking for her again. Her voice was very soft, and towards the end, it was almost hoarse. Hu Jinyao didn't expect things to turn out like this. He looked at Qi Shiwei, whose face was pale and who looked like she had lost her soul, and poured her a glass of water. Chapter 6:15. Previously, Hu Jinyao had only thought that Qi Shiwei and Lien Jin had ended up like this because they hadn't parted on good terms regarding the divorce. He didn't expect Lien Jin to be Shen Mingzhu's younger brother. Of course, he knew about Shen Mingzhu. Back then, Shen Mingzhu had someone tamper with the car. In the end, Qi Shiwei's mother died. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison because of Hu Jinyao. He never thought that one day, Shen Mingzhu's family would come to take revenge on Qi Shiwei. What did this have to do with Qi Shiwei? Shen Mingzhu had killed someone, and she had to pay with her life. She had to pay the price. How could Lien Jin have the face to make Qi Shiwei pay the price? Even take revenge on Qi Shiwei? He didn't know what Qi Shiwei was thinking now. If she decided to take revenge, Hu Jinyao would definitely help her. It doesn't matter anymore. Qi Shiwei's eyes were empty and she looked very confused. Let him be. The child was gone anyway. She had nothing left, so she didn't care about losing it. But, Jinyao, thank you for helping me so much. But I'll do the rest myself. Qi Shiwei turned to look at Hua Jinyao. Her eyes seemed to be a little different. Hua Jinyao was a little worried. I think he's not letting you go now. You have to think of a way to solve it, right? That's my problem. Shiwei, we're friends. Jinyao, I thank you. But there are some things that I can solve myself. Qi Shiwei's face was full of fatigue. Hua Jinyao wanted to say something else, but he knew that she wouldn't listen anymore. He could only think that if there was a chance, he would get someone to keep an eye on her. With him around, he believed that Lien Jin wouldn't act so easily. By the way, Jinyao, there's something I really want your help with. What? I want to see that child. This request stunned Hua Jinyao. Qi Shiwei blinked her eyes and looked at him. Her expression was unusually determined and stubborn. No matter what, he's been in my stomach for 7 or 8 months. I want to see him. Hua Jinyao didn't think that was a good idea. Looking at the stubbornness in Qi Shiwei's eyes, he nodded helplessly. I'll go ask for you. In fact, he didn't know where a newborn baby like that would be placed in the hospital. He needed to ask Su Qingsang. Sorry to trouble you. Hua Jinyao glanced at her worriedly. He wasn't sure if she would lose control when she saw the child. He left the ward and instructed Yang Wenchang's men to guard the door and not let Lien Jin in again. He went to the obstetrics and gynecology office by himself. However, before he could reach it, Sun Huiya happened to come out. She was on the phone. When she saw Hua Jinyao, her eyes lit up. She quickly hung up the phone and walked to Hua Jinyao. Director's son, is Qingsang here? What are you doing? Don't you know? The police took Qingsang away. What did you say? It was Hua Jinyao's turn to be surprised. His expression suddenly changed, and he took half a step forward. Tell me clearly, why was Qingsang taken away by the police? It's like this. Sun Huiya told him what had happened in the morning. She was also anxious. How could Qingsang murder that child? We all saw it. When the child was born, it was already not breathing. In fact, Hua Jinyao took too long to send them over. Moreover, it wasn't a matter of delay at all. Even if Hua Jinyao had sent Qi Shiwei to another hospital, the child might not have been able to survive. The lack of oxygen for too long, and the child's body was already weak when it was in the mother's body. When Sun Huiya and Hua Jinyao were in Sea City for disaster relief, she was familiar with Hua Jinyao. Her voice couldn't hide the urgency. Jinyao, you can't not believe in Qingsang's medical ethics, let alone her character. She would never do such a thing. I know, Director Sunday. I know everything. Don't worry, I'll settle this matter. He turned around and left. Hua Jinyao didn't have the time to ask Qi Shiwei to see the child. He took out his phone and started to make a call. His eyes were sharper than ever. Su Qingsang would kill someone? What a joke. Needless to say, it must have been Lien Jin who did it. He must have thought that the child was still alive. In order to force him to hand over the child, he deliberately called the police and had Su Qingsang taken away. After hanging up the phone, Hua Jinyao turned around and was about to go to Qi Shiwei's ward. However, he stopped after taking 2 steps. Lien Jin. He remembered it. After Su Qingsang was interrogated, she was actually denied bail. The reason was that her problem hadn't been solved yet. Hua Jinyao looked at the person in front of him and said in a cold voice, Director Zhao, I want to ask, what crime did my wife commit? When Director Zhao saw Hua Jinyao come straight to his door, he felt sweat on his forehead. How did he know that his subordinates were so unruly? How did they offend this great Buddha in front of them that they couldn't afford to offend? Who didn't know about the Hua family in Rong City? Not to mention the Hua family's status in Rong City. Although the one from the Hua family had retired, his son had now gone up. Not to mention that the granddaughter of the Hua family was married to a commander. He thought of the news he had received that Hua Mingguang's cousin, Hua Mingfan, was about to be transferred to the province. Director Zhao's back was drenched in sweat. It's a misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Hua Jinyao looked at the time. It's been more than 6 hours since you took my wife away. I want to ask, you said that you invited my wife to assist in the investigation. Since it's to assist in the investigation, it proves that you have no evidence to prove that my wife has committed a crime. Since you have no evidence, what reason do you have to hold my wife captive? President Huo, look, my subordinates are too muddle-headed. I'll take you to release your wife now. It's natural to release my wife. My wife didn't do anything wrong. I'm here to make this clear to you. Yes. We will definitely give you an explanation for this matter. Director Zhao originally wanted to ask someone to bring Huo Jinyao to bring Su Qingsang out, but how could he dare to let someone else bring him out? He directly led the way and brought Huo Jinyao to the place where Su Qingsang was kept. After Su Qingsang arrived, she asked to make a phone call, but no one paid attention to her. Not only did they not let her talk to anyone on the phone, but they also didn't let her leave. However, when she asked them to produce evidence to prove her guilt, these people couldn't produce it. It was fine if they couldn't produce it, but they insisted on blaming her and saying that she had failed in her duty. They said that the cause of the baby's death was because of her. Su Qingsang almost knelt down to these people. These people were really ridiculous. What she didn't know was that the fierce-looking male policeman was Lian Jin's classmate. Lian Jin found him and told him to teach Su Qingsang a lesson. Since she couldn't get out, Su Qingsang wasn't in a hurry to get out. She began to wonder who was trying to make things difficult for her. Hui Yifan and Su Peizhen were both in prison. The second trial had ended, and both of them upheld the original verdict. She also wanted to go over and see Xiang Kaiping, but she didn't know how to face Xiang Kaiping several times. In the end, she could only give up. Xiang Kaiping needed time, and so did she. Therefore, from the second trial of Su Peizhen and Hui Yifan's case until now, Su Qingsang hadn't seen Xiang Kaiping even once. Could it be Xiang Caiping's doing? Su Qingsang immediately rejected this idea. Based on her understanding of Xiang Kaiping, it was unlikely that she would do such a thing. Then who was it? Qi Shiwei? Su Qingsang immediately shook her head. She had lost her child, and it was indeed a sad time. But if Qi Shiwei was that kind of person, Huo Jinyao wouldn't have become good friends with her. Or had she misjudged him? Su Qingsang's mind was running wild. She thought of many possibilities, but she rejected them one by one. The male police officer had come twice in the middle, and both times, he had asked her to confess. Su Qingsang was speechless. She had always had high respect for the police and the military. Especially since Zhang Yichen saved her last time, she had regarded such people as heroes of the people. But what was going on now? The other party had no evidence, but he was just insisting that she confess? She was still wondering why the police officer was biting her like this and not letting her go when the door of the little dark room opened. She thought that the police officer was here to make her confess again, so she sat there without moving. She didn't expect that it wasn't the police officer who came this time, but Huo Jinyao. Beside him was a middle-aged man, also wearing a uniform. Su Qingsang glanced at him. Before she could say anything, Huo Jinyao had already walked up to her in 3 steps. He reached out and pulled her up into his arms. There were people beside them, and Huo Jinyao's enthusiastic behavior made Su Qingsang a little embarrassed. More than that, she felt relieved, and she trusted Huo Jinyao. It was great that he was here. She knew that he would definitely come to take her out, but she didn't expect him to be so fast. She had thought that she would have to stay here for a whole day, just like how it was shown on TV for 24 hours before she could leave. I'm sorry I'm late. He didn't notice that Su Qingsang had been taken away by the police immediately and let her suffer here for so many hours. Thinking of this, Huo Jinyao felt very guilty. He let go of his hands and stepped back a little. He put his hands on Su Qingsang's shoulders and looked up and down. How are you? Are you okay? Su Qingsang shook her head. After all, times had changed. Even if they wanted to make things difficult for her, they couldn't really do anything to her. Huo Jinyao breathed a sigh of relief. As soon as he turned around, he saw a man and a woman standing behind Director Zhao. The two of them looked at Huo Jinyao and seemed to be a little surprised. The male police officer's expression was even better. Just as he was about to say something, Director Zhao turned around and scolded the two men. What are you doing? Is Mrs. Hua someone you can touch? You two idiots. Do you have any brains? The two of them didn't dare to say a word after being scolded by Director Zhao. Director Zhao scolded them a few more times. When he turned around to look at Hua Jinyao, his voice softened. President Hua, look, we didn't know about this either. We didn't do it on purpose. Then look, he couldn't be blamed for being too careful. One had to know that if Hua Mingfan of the Hua family was transferred to the province, it would be a piece of cake for him to deal with a small bureau chief like him. Moreover, the Hua family was a big business, and it was a key enterprise supported by the province. He really didn't want to have a head-on conflict with the other party. Hua Jinyao was only concerned about Su Qingsang now. He didn't have the mood to care about Director Zhao's official career. His gaze swept across the two people behind Director Zhao and he snorted coldly. Since you don't know how to handle cases, don't stay in such an important position. Give it to someone who is capable. Definitely. I will definitely do as you say. Director Zhao repeatedly agreed. The two policemen's faces turned pale. Especially the male policeman, who was Lian Jin's classmate. He had worked for a long time before he was promoted to the position of deputy captain. Seeing that he could be promoted to captain at the end of the year, he thought that he could be promoted faster after this matter was over. Who knew that this would turn out to be like this? Hua Jinyao didn't care if they were happy or not. He didn't have the time to pay attention to Director Zhao's words. He took Su Qingsang and left. Yang Wenshang had already parked the car outside. When he saw the two of them coming out, he quickly went forward to open the door for them. After getting into the car, Su Qingsang looked at the gate outside. Director Zhao was still standing there waving at them. How did you know that I was locked up? I thought you wouldn't know until tomorrow. I went to the hospital to look for you. Director's son told me. Hua Jinyao held her hand tightly as he spoke. Why didn't you call me immediately? Don't mention it. Su Qingsang was depressed when she mentioned this. My phone was taken away by them. They didn't let me make any calls or contact the outside world at all. It's my fault. Hua Jinyao felt a little guilty. He had heard from Director's son that she had been trying to contact him, but she hadn't been able to. Next time, I'll definitely save a copy of my phone number for your colleagues. Tell them to call me if they need anything. How can I blame you? Su Qingsang held his hand with an extremely indifferent expression. I can't blame you either. Even if you knew, I would still have been brought here. It's just a matter of how long I stay. I know. However, he still couldn't help but blame himself and feel guilty for not protecting her well. By the way, do you know who wants to deal with me? Su Qingsang believed that since he was here, he must have already found out. Hua Jinyao narrowed his eyes, and there was a flash of malice in them. I have a rough idea. Who? Lian Jin. Lian Jin? Who's that? Su Qingsang didn't remember this name. Qi Shiwei's husband. Huh. This time, it was Su Qingsang's turn to be surprised. She looked at Hua Jinyao. He wants to deal with me because his son died? Yes. But that child of his was actually not breathing when he was born. How can he blame me? As Su Qingsang said this, she suddenly turned her head to look at Hua Jinyao. Her clear eyes were filled with a hint of inquiry. Don't tell me that your good classmate is also involved in this matter? No. Are you sure? To be honest, Su Qingsang was indeed a little unhappy. After all, no woman would like her husband to take care of another woman. That was her personality. That was the kind of person she was. If she was unhappy, she would clearly express her unhappiness. Hua Jinyao squeezed her hand and shook his head gently at her. She really doesn't know. In fact, she and her husband are about to divorce. Hua Jinyao had no intention of gossiping about other people's privacy. But Su Qingsang wasn't an outsider after all. He briefly told her about Qi Shiwei's situation. After hearing it, Su Qingsang's eyes widened. So melodramatic? This was simply a real-life version of Hamlet. Yes. Hua Jinyao thought of Qi Shiwei's pale face and how exhausted she looked after being tormented. He let out a long sigh. That's what happened. Lian Jin didn't believe that the child was no longer around. He thought that I deliberately hid him so that he wouldn't find him. Then he found out about my relationship with you, and that's why he did what he did today. I think he wanted to make me compromise by making things difficult for you. There was nothing Su Qingsang didn't understand when she was there. However, did he still come to look for Qi Shiwei today? But my men have already thrown him out. Hua Jinyao thought of Lian Jin and felt a little ashamed. His family was miserable, and he was indeed pitiful. But what did these things have to do with Qi Shiwei? Qi Shiwei's mother had been killed and her father had been kidnapped. She didn't think of revenge, but fled abroad. If she hadn't found out that her biological mother had been killed by her stepmother, her mother might still be dead with a grievance. Under such circumstances, he didn't think that Qi Shiwei had done anything wrong. It was hateful that Lian Jin, a man, actually made things difficult for a woman. Throw him out? Su Qingsang was silent and thought of something. She looked at Hua Jinyao very seriously. I don't think it's a good idea for you to throw him out. Since he wants to see that child so much, let him see him. Qingsang, the child is still in the hospital morgue. We have no right to dispose of him. In fact, what to do with the child's body still depends on what Qi Shiwei and her husband think. At this point, Su Qingsang let out a long sigh. I've been in the hospital for several years. In fact, I've seen many things like this. No matter what, the people who left have already left. But the living still have to continue living. If possible, I hope they can all think it through. Hua Jinyao gave her a deep look. He suddenly leaned over and kissed Su Qingsang on the lips. Wife, I realize that you actually have the talent to be a philosopher. Su Qingsang couldn't help but laugh as she glanced at him. I can't be a philosopher. I've just seen too much birth, aging, illness, and death. I'm just more open-minded than the average person. Hua Jinyao didn't respond. He thought of how Su Qingsang had forgiven Su Qinghui time and time again for the harm he had caused her. It might have something to do with her profession. After all, compared to life and death, everything else was really a trivial matter. Shiwei also wants to see that child. Why don't you arrange it? Okay. Su Qingsang didn't stay for long. It was still early, so she returned to the hospital first. Qi Shiwei had only seen Su Qingsang once at the Hua family's banquet. Now that she was looking at Su Qingsang in a white coat, she looked completely different from the dazzling beauty at the banquet, but she still couldn't hide her amazement. Su Qingsang, who was wearing a uniform, had an extra charm. Dr. Su, I've caused you trouble. Qi Shiwei calmed down and already knew her situation. Especially after Su Qingsang was taken away by the police, Director Sun thought about it and felt that it might have something to do with Qi Shiwei, so he came to the ward and explained what happened that day. It was also because of this that Qi Shiwei found out that Su Qingsang had been brought to the police station because of her. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. He only wants to be happy and doesn't care about other people's lives. I've implicated you. Her voice was very hoarse and it sounded powerless. She also looked as if she would fall at the slightest gust of wind. Su Qingsang had seen many patients, but there were very few who could recover as quickly as Qi Shiwei and accept reality so easily. Miss Qi, you don't have to say sorry. This has nothing to do with you. If you want to see that child, I'll take you to see him. But if it's possible, let the child's father see him. When the time comes, you can speak clearly if you have anything to say. Qi Shiwei looked at Su Qingsang deeply. When her gaze fell on Hua Jinyao, who was beside her, Hua Jinyao nodded slightly. His meaning was the same as Su Qingsang's. She smiled bitterly, her face full of sarcasm. All right, if he wants to see him, let him see him. As she spoke, she picked up her phone from the bedside and pressed a string of numbers that she was already familiar with, but had once blocked. Very soon, Lian Jin arrived. He didn't expect Qi Shiwei to take the initiative to see him. This was truly a rare occurrence. When he saw Su Qingsang and Hua Jinyao, he sneered. What? Did you call me over to settle the score with me? Su Qingsang looked at the man in front of her. He was not bad-looking. He was tall and thin, and his facial features could be considered handsome. However, when he spoke, he looked at them with disdain, which made his face look a little more cynical, making people feel a little uncomfortable. Settle the score? Of course I have to settle the score with you. Qi Shiwei glared at the man in front of her. Now, just looking at this man made her feel disgusted, nauseous, and uncomfortable. Lian Jin, didn't you say you wanted to see that child? I'll take you to see him now. As Qi Shiwei spoke, she forced herself to get out of bed. She still had wounds on her body, and she had just given birth. Her body was very weak, so how could Su Qingsang dare to let her walk so far? She asked the nurse outside to bring a wheelchair, and she went forward to help Qi Shiwei sit on it. I'll push you there. Qi Shiwei was about to refuse, but when she saw the worry in Su Qingsang's eyes, she agreed. Soon, a group of people arrived at the morgue from the obstetrics and gynecology department of the hospital. Even during the day, the morgue gave off a gloomy feeling. Su Qingsang greeted her colleague in charge of the morgue. She pushed Qi Shiwei into the place where the bodies were kept. She had personally sent the child over, so she knew where to put it. She opened the drawer and gestured for Qi Shiwei and Lian Jin to come over. Lian Jin had always thought that his child was still alive, but he didn't expect Su Qingsang to really bring them to the morgue. Chapter 616. Hua Jinyao was still holding a grudge against Lian Jin for causing Su Qingsang to go to the police station. Seeing that he was standing at the door of the morgue without moving or going in, he snorted coldly. What? You don't dare to go in? Lian Jin stood there without moving. He looked at Hua Jinyao. His footsteps were heavy, and his heart was beating fast. Su Qingsang glanced at him, then firmly pushed Qi Shiwei inside. In fact, if possible, she didn't want to make this trip, nor did she want Qi Shiwei to see it. It really wasn't a good experience. She pushed the wheelchair in front of the poor baby. The child was placed in the big drawer of the morgue. After it was pulled out, it was covered with a black cloth. Su Qingsang glanced at Qi Shiwei, not sure if she was ready. Qi Shiwei didn't seem to notice her worried gaze. She just stared at the black cloth. Su Qingsang bit her lip and finally helped open the zipper. The child is here. Qi Shiwei only took one look and was stunned. She looked up at Su Qingsang, and her voice was slightly trembling. That's him. Su Qingsang couldn't bear to look at the child who was no longer breathing. She looked at Qi Shiwei. This is the morgue after all. Don't stay too long. Especially since you've just given birth. It's not good for your health to stay here for too long. Qi Shiwei didn't say anything. She just stared at the child. Su Qingsang couldn't bear to look at her anymore because of her expression. I'll pick you up later. After saying that, she took a deep look at Qi Shiwei and turned to leave. When she passed by Lian Jin, her voice was very low. This child is the child I delivered. If you don't believe me, you can go for a DNA test. Walking out, she looked at Hua Jinyao. Hua Jinyao nodded slightly at her, and then the two of them looked at Lian Jin. Hua Jinyao was still a little worried about Qi Shiwei. However, he knew that at a time like this, she wouldn't want him to be here to participate in her affairs. He more or less knew Qi Shiwei's personality. After glancing at Su Qingsang, the two of them left hand in hand. Although Qi Shiwei was already mentally prepared, when she really saw the black and stiff baby, her body couldn't help but start to tremble. This was her child. The child who had accompanied her and stayed in her stomach for 8 months. He died the moment he was born. He didn't even have the chance to see the world. The reason why the child's body turned blue was because of the lack of oxygen. Just as Sun Huiya had said, he had been in his stomach for too long, causing him to have difficulty breathing and eventually suffocating. Why did she argue with Lian Jin? Why didn't she come to the hospital earlier to protect the fetus? Why didn't she ask Hua Jinyao for help from the beginning? That way, her child might not have died. Of course, Lian Jin was responsible for this, but it was more of her responsibility. This realization made her suddenly lower her head, cover her face, and cry. Lian Jin had walked to her side at some point in time. He also saw the child. Even though he was a man, when he saw the child's pitiful state, he couldn't help but tremble. He couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable, especially when he heard Qi Shiwei's suppressed, painful cries. He felt more and more uncomfortable. After a long time, Qi Shiwei finally calmed down. She reached out her hand, unafraid of the child's blue face and already cold body. She reached out her hand and gently caressed the child's face. In order to come back this time, she didn't tell anyone many things. She only wanted to escape, but she was wrong. Now, she didn't want to be wrong anymore. Lien Jin. She knew that Lien Jin was an alias and that his real name was Shinjin, but Qi Shiwei was already used to calling him that. Let's get a divorce. Lien Jin's brows were tightly furrowed. He stood there, his gaze landing on the child, but he didn't speak. Qi Shiwei didn't need him to say anything. She just wanted to say her decision. You want the child, but the child is gone. He's right here. If you still have a trace of humanity, don't disturb his path to reincarnation. What do you mean? Nothing. This child is mine. I'll bury him properly, and I'll find a mage to help him transcend. But all of this has nothing to do with you. Qi Shiwei, don't get me wrong. I also have a share of this child. You have a share? Qi Shiwei seemed to have heard a joke. She suddenly turned to look at Lien Jin with hatred in her eyes. Do you know how hard it was for me to keep this child alive? Do you know why it was so hard? It had been a long time since Lien Jin had seen Qi Shiwei look so resentful. He felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. You didn't stay in the United States and ran back to China. Of course it was hard for you to fly all the way here. Lien Jin, I hate how shameless you are. Qi Shiwei sneered. Do you still remember the day before I ran away? Qi Shiwei didn't mind clarifying. You locked me up, I ran away, and then you came looking for me. Do you remember what good thing you did? Lien Jin's expression finally began to change. Qi Shiwei turned her wheelchair to face Lien Jin. You raped me and you raped me. You remember, don't you? Her voice trembled with anger. Because of what you did, I've been bleeding ever since. The doctor told me that I have a tendency to have a threatened abortion. Lien Jin, did you hear me clearly? All of this was your fault. It was you. Her uterus had already been injured, but it was treated so roughly by Lien Jin. This caused the fetus to be unstable during her pregnancy. She even had reason to suspect that even if she really gave birth to the child safely, the child's body would be very weak and fragile. After all, she had almost miscarried a few times and almost lost the child. All of this was Lien Jin's fault. How could he have the face to blame others now? Lien Jin stood there. His lowered face made it hard to see his expression for a moment. However, his hands, which were hanging by his side, were tightly clenched into fists. Qi Shiwei. She could have said it at the time. She could have told him that she was pregnant. But Lien Jin knew that in that situation, what was the use of saying it? Qi Shiwei looked at him and sneered. Lien Jin, now that the child is dead, you still have the face to tell me that this is your child? Lien Jin's face was a little pale. His gaze fell on the stiff and blue baby. He suddenly turned his face away, not daring to face her. Everything was irreversible. Inexplicably, things had come to this. Qi Shiwei looked at him coldly, feeling very disdainful of his evasive gaze. Her voice also became sharp and cold. Now, leave this place. Whether it's me or my son, we don't want to see you, the murderer. After saying this, she no longer looked at Lien Jin but continued to look at the baby. There was no longer any meaning in pursuing anyone's responsibility. Even if she pushed all the blame on Lien Jin, what was the use? Her child was already dead and couldn't come back. The temperature in the morgue was already lower than outside. Qi Shiwei had been staying here all this time, so it was inevitable that she would suffer from the cold. In addition, she was in a bad mood, so Su Qingsang was a little worried. In the end, Su Qingsang and Hua Jinyao calculated the time. Su Qingsang came in and pushed her out again. When she went in, Lien Jin had already left. Qi Shiwei, on the other hand, had been staring at the child. Her expression was a little wooden, and her eyes were also red. The moment her body returned to the hospital bed, Qi Shiwei seemed to have finally recovered from her sadness. Dr. Su, thank you. You're welcome. These are all things I should do. Qi Shiwei's voice was a little hoarse. Although she hadn't cried for long just now, she had just given birth and had spent so much effort to scold Lien Jin. Her throat was very uncomfortable now. Seeing this, Su Qingsang quickly poured her a glass of water and asked her to drink it. After drinking the water, Qi Shiwei felt much better. She looked at Su Qingsang gratefully, then at Hu Jinyao, who had been standing by the side. Dr. Su, you're such a nice person. It's Jinyao's blessing to be able to marry you. The corners of Hu Jinyao's lips curled up slightly. He was obviously very happy with Qi Shiwei's praise. I also feel very lucky to be able to marry him. Su Qingsang's words made Qi Shiwei nod. Yes, they were all very lucky, unlike her, who had been unlucky from the beginning to the end. Seeing the change in her expression, Su Qingsang could tell that she must be feeling bad. After thinking about it, she tried her best to comfort her. Miss Qi, I know you're very sad and it's hard for you to accept losing that child. But no matter what, people still have to look forward. You're so beautiful and so young. I believe that as long as you're willing to walk out of it, you'll definitely have a bright future. Seeing that Qi Shiwei's expression didn't change and was still sad, Su Qingsang felt a little embarrassed. I'm sorry, I didn't have the right to say so much. But I really think it's better for you to let it go. What's more, you said that the child has been relying on you for several months. I don't think you want him to feel uneasy when he leaves, right? It was impossible for Qi Shiwei to get over it so quickly. Even her sadness couldn't disappear immediately. However, Su Qingsang's words made her feel a little better. Thank you, Dr. Su. You're a good person. As she spoke, she looked at Hu Jinyao again. You're all good people. You're Jinyao's friend. If you don't mind, you can call me Qingsang from now on. Okay, then don't call me Miss Qi. Call me Shiwei. Su Qingsang and Qi Shiwei looked at each other and smiled. Now, they had some admiration for each other. Qi Shiwei didn't say much before she started to feel tired. Su Qingsang knew that she was also tired. The ups and downs in her emotions weren't good for her current body. She told her to rest well and not worry about anything. She then gave some instructions as a doctor. She didn't say that Qi Shiwei couldn't have any more children. At this stage, if Qi Shiwei found out, the blow would be even greater. She then instructed Xiao Jiang to take good care of Qi Shiwei before she left with Hu Jinyao. By then, the sky had already darkened. Hu Jinyao held Su Qingsang's hand and walked in the direction of their car. Qingsang, thank you for today. He thanked her for letting Qi Shiwei see the baby and for comforting her. There were some things that a man like him couldn't say, but Su Qingsang's perspective was different. Thank me? Su Qingsang shook her head. There's no need to thank me. I'm a doctor. No matter who comes and who encounters such a thing, I will treat them equally. No matter what, thank you. Hu Jinyao could also tell that it would be difficult for Qi Shiwei to get over it in a short period of time. Moreover, there was a guy like Lien Jin. But no matter what, he could at least tell that Qi Shiwei didn't have any negative thoughts. That was enough. As for the rest, he could only leave it to the heavens and let the heavens decide. Yang Wenshang had been waiting outside for a long time, so he wasn't impatient. The two of them got into the car and the car drove out of the hospital smoothly. Su Qingsang looked at the street outside. The sky was getting darker, and the sky was getting darker, just like her current mood. No matter what, the departure of a life had more or less affected her. In fact, she really felt bad for Qi Shiwei. Don't think about it. This isn't your responsibility. Hu Jinyao saw that Su Qingsang was in a daze just now. He reached out and rubbed her head. His voice was very soft. You didn't want this to happen either. It's not your fault. I know. Su Qingsang rubbed the space between her eyebrows. She had been on duty for the whole night. She had been locked up for another half a day. This time, she was really sleepy. I just feel a little regretful. She felt a little regretful and a little sad. Every time she couldn't save a life, she would feel this way. Do you know? Our hospital, including the Lin City Hospital where we stayed before, is considered good. After all, sometimes we need to prove some surgeries. But some hospitals are actually very excessive. She had a classmate who was assigned to a local hospital after graduation. That classmate had said a lot of such things in her classmates' group chat. After some women got pregnant, because the man's family wanted a boy, they would go through an ultrasound to verify their gender in advance. Even if they were very strict, there were still some people who would take advantage of loopholes. After those people found out that they were pregnant with a girl, they would abort. The most exaggerated woman actually aborted 4 daughters in a row in order to give birth to a son. When Su Qingsong's classmate mentioned this, they were all very puzzled. She had also asked the other party, if that was the case, why did they still perform the surgery on that woman? Su Qingsong's classmate told her that if she was the one doing it, at least her skills were not bad, and the hospital's equipment and specifications were also up to standard. If they didn't do it for the other party and the other party went to a small hospital, not to mention that the technology might not be mature, even the facilities and equipment were not comparable to a big hospital. More importantly, if something were to happen to him, it would be terrible. Rather than letting these pregnant women go to other places to torment their health and even cause them to die, it would be better to do it on their own hands. Su Qingsong's hair stood on end when she heard that. She could only be glad that because of her excellent grades when she graduated, she had been recruited by Zhang Qiubai to the first hospital of Lin City, which was much stricter. Even so, Su Qingsang had seen a lot of similar incidents. There was once a pregnant woman whose fetal movements were not obvious when she was pregnant. But there were still fetal movements. The pregnant woman did not find any problems after several examinations, and then stopped coming for examinations for 3 months. Who knew that when the child was about to be born, she would find that the child was already dead. Su Qingsang had seen such things many times. But every time she saw it, she still felt uncomfortable. I must work harder to study and study in the future to improve my medical skills. I hope I can help more people. Su Qingsong's voice was faint, but it was filled with determination. Hu Jinyao reached out and held her hand. His eyes were deep, and there was a calming power in them. I believe in you. His Qingsang would definitely become the most outstanding and first-class obstetrician. Su Qingsang smiled because of his affirmation. She looked at Yang Wenchang, who was driving seriously in the front. Some things could wait until they got back. When she got home, Su Qingsang was tired and hungry. She lay down and fell asleep almost immediately after she ate and took a shower. She had something to say to Hu Jinyao, but she couldn't. She was really too tired and sleepy. When Hu Jinyao came out of the bathroom after taking a shower, he saw the sleeping beauty in front of him. Su Qingsang was sleeping soundly on the bed. Her cheeks were flushed with 2 beautiful red clouds. Her steady breathing showed that she was sleeping soundly. The slight frown on her face in her sleep made Hu Jinyao frown as well. Sitting down by the bed, he reached out and gently stroked Su Qingsang's eyebrows. She was sleeping soundly and didn't wake up because of his action, but her eyebrows slowly smoothed out because of his action. The corners of Hu Jinyao's lips curled up. He leaned down and gently kissed Su Qingsang's forehead. Su Qingsang fell into a deep sleep. She didn't wake up until almost 9 o'clock the next morning. Because she didn't have to go to work, she wasn't in a hurry to get up. She looked around and saw that the bed next to her was already cold. It seemed that Hu Jinyao had been up for a long time. When Su Qingsang tidied herself up and walked out of the living room, she was surprised to see that Hu Jinyao was still there. You're up? Breakfast is in the kitchen. You can eat it after you heat it up. Hu Jinyao's gaze moved away from the screen in front of him. Or should I heat it up for you? No need, I'll do it myself. Su Qingsang walked towards the kitchen. There was indeed breakfast prepared by Hu Jinyao. After breakfast, she called Ling Fei. She was on duty today. She asked Ling Fei to keep an eye on Qi Shiwei. Although she knew that Qi Shiwei wouldn't do anything extreme, she wasn't in a good state right now. Don't you have to work today? Hu Jinyao reached out his hand to her, and Su Qingsang sat down beside him. It's Saturday. Saturday? Su Qingsang had experienced so many things yesterday that she had forgotten that it was Saturday. Hasn't your company been busy recently? Ever since Hui Yifan went to prison, it had affected the Hua family a little. The first was Hua Mingliang. He couldn't let go of the anger in his heart. After Hui Yifan went to prison, he didn't want to go to work. He was the department manager of Tianyu Group. If he didn't go to work, he had to find someone to replace him. It was easy to find someone, but the key was that Hua Mingliang said that he was only on annual leave. It wouldn't be a problem for Hua Jinyao to temporarily replace him. The problem was that a person like Hua Yifan had appeared. Even a large company like the Hua family was still at the center of gossip. Many people were discussing such a matter. A few people from their partner companies were supposed to sign the contract, but now they said that it would be delayed for a few days. The reason was that since Hua Yifan could steal their company's plan, it was inevitable that he could do it elsewhere. Hua Jinyao had expected these things and had also taken measures to deal with them. Therefore, other than the few days when Hua Yifan went to prison, he was so busy that he couldn't even touch the ground. The rest of the time was fine. The company's matters are endless. However, it's also important to accompany your wife. Hua Jinyao's voice was very soft and gentle. Su Qingsang moved away from his embrace and looked at his face with a hint of playfulness. Is it more important to accompany your wife or your ex-girlfriend? Qingsang? This situation wasn't right. He saw that Su Qingsang was fine just now. No, she was still fine yesterday. She was very concerned about Qi Shiwei. Why did his attitude change after a night's sleep? Su Qingsang sat up straight and gently tapped Hua Jinyao's chest with one hand. Did I say something wrong? Am I wrong? She tilted her face. Her face was red because she had just woken up. Her watery eyes were a little teasing because of the joke just now, which inexplicably added a sense of charm. No, she was pregnant and she got divorced. It's not easy for her to be here alone. Most importantly, she had also helped him. Hua Yifan's incident this time, and why he could send Su Peijian to prison so easily. It was all Qi Shiwei's credit. Even if she hadn't saved his life before, Hua Jinyao would have taken good care of her. It's indeed not easy for her to have a big belly, so our great President Hua visits from time to time and takes good care of her. He hugs and hugs her, seriously. When she saw the care at the police station yesterday, even though she knew that the other party was using this to break down her psychological defense, she still felt a little uncomfortable. After all, no woman would like to see her husband show so much care for another woman. Not to mention, Hua Jinyao's concern for Qi Shiwei was beyond normal. Qingsang. Hua Jinyao reached out to grab her hand. Su Qingsang dodged to the side and dodged. She tapped Hua Jinyao's chest again. It's fine if you hugged and hugged, but someone even took a lot of photos and showed them to me. Mr. Hua, I want to interview you. How does it feel to meet your first love again after so many years? Wife, didn't I tell you before that she was just a classmate? Just a classmate? Su Qingsang nodded. She's just a classmate, yet you hugged and hugged her. You sent her to the hospital and spent the night with her. By the way, why did you go to the hospital to look for me? Don't tell me that you missed me. You should be worried about your good classmate, right? Qingsang. Hua Jinyao wanted to explain, but Su Qingsang didn't give him a chance. She gently placed her fingers on his lips and spoke very softly. Chapter 617. Qingsang. How about today? Su Qingsang nodded as she spoke, her expression quite serious. How about today? It's rare that we're both free. The more she said, the more outrageous she sounded. Hua Jinyao pulled Su Qingsang's hand away, and while she was still talking, he turned over and pressed her under his body. Hua Jinyao. How could Su Qingsang be a match for him? In an instant, she was pinned under his body. The sofa was very spacious. Su Qingsang was lying on her back, and there was still a lot of space. Are you excited? Hua Jinyao squinted at her. There was a hidden danger in his eyes. Why am I the one who's excited? Aren't I fulfilling your wish? Su Qingsang put a hand on his chest and looked at his face. Shouldn't you be grateful to me? Su Qingsang wasn't going to work, nor did she plan to go out. She was wearing a set of home clothes. Because of the action of lying down, her snow-white collarbone was exposed to the air. Hua Jinyao's Adam's apple moved up and down a few times. Thank you? Aha. Su Qingsang didn't realize the danger and nodded. Yes, I should be grateful to you. As he spoke, he lowered his head and kissed Su Qingsang's lips. Her eyes widened as she stared at his enlarged face. Woo-woo. You broke the rules. Hua Jinyao had a faint smile on his face, but his big hands were moving unceremoniously on Su Qingsang's body. Su Qingsang's breathing quickened. She hadn't finished settling the score with him yet. This person was really... Finally, Hua Jinyao slightly moved away from her. She gritted her teeth. Hua Jinyao, you broke the rules. I'm thanking you. As Hua Jinyao spoke, his hand had already reached under the hem of her dress. Thank you with your body. You. Su Qingsang's voice was blocked by him again. She couldn't say the rest of her sentence. The following content has been censored for 5,000 words. For those in need, please follow the instructions at the bottom of this article. Su Qingsang lay on the bed, motionless. The living room was in chaos. She wanted to get up and clean up, but she didn't have any strength left in her. Looking at the time, it had been almost 2 hours since she finished eating in the morning. She then looked at Hua Jinyao. He looked refreshed, as if he hadn't been affected by the strenuous exercise. She gritted her teeth, feeling that it was extremely unfair. Speaking of which, he was the one who put in more effort, but why was he the one who was more tired? She turned over, but felt that such a simple movement made her waist ache. She couldn't help but glare at Hua Jinyao. He had already come out of the bathroom. His hair was slightly damp, and he was full of energy. He didn't seem to be affected at all. Tired? Hua Jinyao sat down by the bed. Su Qingsang rolled her eyes and ignored him. Seeing that he was about to kiss her again, she quickly put her hands in front of his chest. Don't come. She would definitely die in his hands if he tried again. Hua Jinyao kissed her on the lips. All right. Rest for a while. I'll have someone send lunch over. Auntie, you didn't come over to cook at noon. They usually didn't come over on Saturdays. After all, they went to the Hua family's old mansion most of the time. Su Qingsang blinked, as if she had thought of something. She immediately remembered. However, her waist ached and she fell back. Hua Jinyao held her body. Honey, what are you doing? The sofa outside is so messy. Don't you want to clean it up? Su Qingsang was anxious. If someone came over later and saw it, it would be really embarrassing. Hua Jinyao was stunned for a moment. Messy? Su Qingsang poked his chest, and there was a hint of anger on her face. Go clean it up. Honey, just ask Auntie Yu to do it. No way. She didn't want Auntie Yu to know that they were messing around in the living room outside. It would be so embarrassing. Are you going or not? I'll go if you don't. Do you still have strength? It wasn't that he looked down on her, but she looked like she was half dead. How could she have the strength to clean it up? Hua Jinyao. Su Qingsang was furious. Who caused her to have no strength? She hadn't finished settling the score with him just now. Who caused me to have no strength? Hua Jinyao looked a little embarrassed and didn't say anything. Su Qingsang poked him in the chest. Who made me like this? Who ignored her begging and wanted to do it again? Once wasn't enough? Why did he have to do it again? He could do it again, but he had to do it in such an unbelievable position. How could she not be tired? It was me. You still know it was you? Su Qingsang grabbed his hand and twisted it hard, but found that she couldn't twist it. Instead, her hand hurt, so she had to withdraw her hand. Aren't you thinking about that ex-girlfriend of yours? You can go torment her. Hua Jinyao twitched his nose and moved closer to Su Qingsang. There was a hint of teasing in his eyes. Do you smell a strong sour smell? No. No. Hua Jinyao moved closer to her face again. I smell it. It's so sour. This room is going to be flooded with vinegar. Is that so? Su Qingsang pushed his face to the side. Since the room is going to be flooded, why don't you move to another place? For example, your good classmate's ex-girlfriend's villa? There won't be such a sour smell there, right? I was wrong. Hua Jinyao surrendered. He leaned over and kissed Su Qingsang on the cheek. Wife, I was wrong. Seeing that Su Qingsang turned her face away and ignored him, he reached out and turned her face back. Wife, you know that there's really nothing between Qi Shiwei and me. There's nothing going on. I don't know. I don't follow you every day. How would I know what's going on between the two of you when I'm not around or when I don't see it, right? Su Qingsang was unmoved. Hu Jinyao leaned over and kissed her lips again. Ever since I married you, other women have been air in my eyes. Su Qingsang avoided his kiss. She had originally wanted to settle the score with him, but now she was being tormented by him. She was a little annoyed. It's air. The air that I can hold in my arms. Wife? Hu Jinyao hugged her body in his arms again and pressed his forehead against hers. Wife, I was wrong this time. I'll definitely stay away from her next time. No matter what happens to her, I won't help her. I'll let others help her. Is that okay? Screw you. Even he didn't believe what he said. She wasn't such a petty person. I didn't stop you from helping her. If you want to help her, then help her. Otherwise, I'll be the villain. My wife is so kind. How can she be a villain? Even if she's a villain, she's the most beautiful villain in the world. Sweet talk. Sweet words are also for you alone. Wife, don't call me that. Su Qingsang's voice was a little hoarse. Speaking of which, she had originally wanted to settle the score with him. How did it turn into rolling in the sheets? Go. Su Qingsang pushed him away. I want to rest. Go clean up the living room. Seeing that he didn't move, she glared at him. If you don't go clean up, I'll let you sleep on the sofa tonight. You don't have to be so ruthless, do you? Ruthless? Then you'll sleep for a month. Wife? Speaking of which, that's a good idea. Su Qingsang nodded repeatedly as she spoke. If you hug another woman in the future, I'll let you sleep on the sofa. Hug once, sleep for a month. Hu Jinyao's face fell. Wife, are you serious? Quite serious. So, Mr. Hua, can you go clean up outside now? I'll go right away. Hu Jinyao stood up and bitterly went to clean up the living room. Su Qingsang looked at his back and suddenly smiled. Thinking about how Hu Jinyao would clean up the room, she kind of wanted to see him. But forget it. There would always be a chance next time. Su Qingsang yawned and turned over. She was a little sleepy, so she went back to sleep. Su Qingsang had to go to work the next day. When she got up in the morning, Hu Jinyao followed her. I'll drive you. He was the one who picked her up yesterday. She didn't drive back. Su Qingsang didn't object. She was much more energetic after a night's rest. After getting into Hu Jinyao's car, she suddenly leaned over to look at Hu Jinyao when she fastened her seatbelt. Will you take me to the hospital and visit Qi Shiwei on the way? Wife. For the first time, Hu Jinyao realized that Su Qingsang could be so petty. It's okay. Go ahead. I don't object. In fact, I'm going to visit her later too. Su Qingsang was indeed jealous yesterday, and she was indeed a little uncomfortable. However, after calming down, she wouldn't really take it to heart. With Qi Shiwei's appearance, it was normal for Hu Jinyao to visit her. It was understandable. Wife. Hu Jinyao stopped starting the car and looked at her warily. Don't tell me you're going to let me sleep on the sofa the moment I visit her? When he met Su Qingsang's gaze, Hu Jinyao was the first to lower his head. Wife, I was wrong. All right. Su Qingsang couldn't help but want to roll her eyes at him. For the past 2 days, he had been saying that he was wrong again and again. Those who didn't know better would think that she was very powerful. In fact, he was just apologizing verbally. In his heart, he might not even think that he was wrong. I'm not such a petty person. She's indeed in a special situation right now. It's only right for you to visit her. Su Qingsang's expression was very serious. There was no hint of reluctance or unhappiness. Hu Jinyao knew that she was just joking and reached out to rub her hair. My wife is indeed the best. Flattery didn't work. Su Qingsang glanced at him, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. All right, drive your car, Wang Yao said. The two of them went to the hospital together. Su Qingsang first went to the office to change into a white coat. She had to go on ward rounds later anyway, so she wasn't in a hurry to see Qi Shiwei. After Hu Jinyao greeted her, he went to the ward to see Qi Shiwei. Perhaps it was because she had completely vented her emotions yesterday. Qi Shiwei's complexion today was much better than yesterday. When she saw Hu Jinyao coming, She even glanced behind him. Where's Chingsang? She's at work. She'll come over later. Qi Shiwei smiled. Sorry for the trouble. Hua Jinyao shook his head and looked at the ward. Xiao Jiang wasn't there. The 2 bodyguards he had hired were very responsible to guard outside. Where's Xiao Jiang? She went to prepare breakfast for me. I originally said that I was going to the cafeteria to eat. She insisted that it wasn't nutritious and went home to make soup for me. It's my fault. Hua Jinyao had never taken care of a pregnant woman before, so he didn't know. I'll get someone to arrange for you to deliver food later. No need. Qi Shiwei shook her head. You've already taken good care of me. There's nothing wrong with me eating in the cafeteria. Hua Jinyao didn't argue with her. In any case, he would just ask Yang Wenchang to arrange for her later. Qi Shiwei knew that Hua Jinyao was a man of his word, so she didn't want to argue with him. Jinyao, it's good that you're here today. I have something to ask of you. What? Help me take care of that poor child's funeral. Qi Shiwei thought of that poor child and smiled bitterly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have troubled you with such a thing. But my health is very poor now. It's very difficult for me to even go to the bathroom. Seeing the worry in Hua Jinyao's eyes, the corners of her mouth twitched. Don't look at me like that. I'm really fine. I'm just too weak. Chingsang should be aware of my situation. I just need to rest well and get my body well. Hua Jinyao frowned slightly, and his expression looked very serious. I don't mind. Leave this matter to me. I'll help you take care of it. Thank you, Jinyao. Although Qi Shiwei's voice sounded weak, the expression on her face and her entire body were strong. Although I don't want to trouble you after I return to the country. But I always seem to cause you trouble. The reason why she had handed the plan to Su Peijian was because she didn't want Hua Jinyao to see her pale, weak, and haggard appearance. Who knew that after going around in circles, he would still find out. She had troubled him so much again. We're friends. You're treating me like an outsider. Qi Shiwei nodded and didn't decline. I'm very relieved to leave this matter to you. I only have one request. My mother is buried in the West Mountain Cemetery. Let the poor child be the companion of my mother, if you please. After returning, she went to see her mother once and didn't mention anything about Lian Jin. She didn't want her mother to be in peace in heaven. Hua Jinyao was a man of action. In addition, today was Sunday. He called Yang Wenchang and asked him to make arrangements for the crematorium and the cemetery. These weren't too difficult. With money, they could do it right away. After contacting him, Yang Wenchang was also on his way. A car came from the crematorium and sent the child there. However, when Hua Jinyao went to the morgue, he was told that the child was gone. Hua Jinyao was very surprised. The child was still there yesterday. He didn't go to Qi Shiwei to tell her about this first. Instead, he went to Su Chingsang. What did you say? The child is gone? How was that possible? Hua Jinyao didn't understand what went wrong. Su Chingsang glanced at him. They were in the hospital. In a place like the morgue, there would be strange legends from time to time, but she had never heard of a corpse being lost. Wait a minute, I'll go with you to take a look. Today was Sunday, and there was only one doctor on duty. That doctor's surname was Gu. Su Chingsang asked for a long time, but Dr. Gu only said that he didn't see it. This was too strange. This morgue wasn't anywhere else. How could a baby's body disappear just like that? Dr. Su, I only started work this morning. If you want to know, why don't you ask Dr. Xie, who was on duty before? Or go check the surveillance cameras. Su Chingsang and Hua Jinyao looked at each other and saw their own guesses in each other's eyes. To confirm it, Su Chingsang went to the security office again. She pulled out the surveillance video. Sure enough, they saw it through the surveillance video. Early this morning, before the hospital started working, Lian Jin first went to the ward to visit Qi Shiwei. Qi Shiwei was sleeping at that time. After that, Lian Jin went to the medical administration division. In the end, he went to the morgue and took the child away. The doctor on duty in the morning wasn't Dr. Gu, but Dr. Xie. So Dr. Gu didn't know either. When Su Chingsang saw this, she took out her phone and pulled up the contact list of all the doctors in the hospital. She called Dr. Xie. Dr. Xie had an impression of this matter. After all, there weren't many people who came to claim a corpse early in the morning, let alone the corpse of a baby who had died young. Dr. Su, that child was taken away by that gentleman in my hands. However, he had the procedures. He said that he was the child's father. He also showed us the relevant documents. Su Qingsang hung up the phone and glanced at Hu Jinyao. Qi Shiwei and Lian Jin's relationship as husband and wife hadn't been dissolved. Lian Jin was still Qi Shiwei's husband and the child's father. If he wanted to take the child away, Qi Shiwei couldn't do anything about it. Is he crazy? Su Qingsang couldn't understand for a moment. The child was already dead. What did Lian Jin want to do? Hu Jinyao didn't say anything. He glanced at Su Qingsang. Su Qingsang thought of Qi Shiwei's pale face. How do you think we should tell her about this? Hu Jinyao also had a headache. I'll find Lian Jin first. Is it useful? He might not hand over the child at all. What do you think he wants to do by taking the child away? To be honest, even though Su Qingsang had seen all kinds of strange things in the hospital, this situation still made her hair stand on end. After all, it wasn't a living child. It was already dead. What was Lian Jin trying to do? I don't know. Hu Jinyao actually vaguely understood, but he wasn't sure yet. Don't tell Qi Shiwei about this for now. Su Qingsang's words made Hu Jinyao frown. She'll find out sooner or later. Of course she'll find out. But her body is so weak now. If she finds out that Lian Jin took her child away, I don't know what she'll do. If she's too agitated or her emotions fluctuate too much, it won't be good for her body's recovery. Su Qingsang didn't mean to lie to Qi Shiwei. However, she could hide it kindly. Use this time to find Lian Jin and ask him to hand over the child. Hu Jinyao thought about it and didn't object. Su Qingsang's words made sense. Qi Shiwei's current condition wasn't good. Let her rest well. It's best if I can find him. What if I can't? What if he found Lian Jin and he refused to hand over the child? Legally speaking, he did have the right to dispose of the child's body and make arrangements for the child's funeral. Then we'll talk about it after this month. One had to know that Qi Shiwei hadn't had her stitches removed yet. Even if the stitches were removed, she would have to do at least a full month of confinement. If there's anything else, we'll talk about it after she's out of confinement. Okay. Hu Jinyao nodded. He looked at Su Qingsang and suddenly reached out to hug her. Wife, thank you. Don't thank me. I'm just doing my duty as a doctor. It's not because of you. Su Qingsang's words made Hu Jinyao laugh. He rubbed her hair with a doting expression. Yes. You're a good doctor. She was also a good wife. As expected, Hu Jinyao didn't tell Qi Shiwei about the baby. When he went to the hospital to see her the next day, he only said that he had taken care of the matter. Meanwhile, he tried to contact Lian Jin to ask him what he wanted to do. Hu Jinyao searched for a few days, but he couldn't find Lian Jin. This was really strange. There was actually someone he couldn't find. He kept this matter a secret. Qi Shiwei didn't know anything about it. The child she thought had been properly buried had already been taken away by Lian Jin. A week later, the sutures on Qi Shiwei's wound were removed. He could go back to his home and rest. Originally, Hu Jinyao had arranged a confinement center for her, but now that there were no children to take care of, he sent her back to the villa. He and Su Qingsang sent it together. Hu Jinyao didn't dare to send Qi Shiwei off alone. It didn't matter if he was here to see Qi Shiwei or if he had something to tell her. They all dragged Su Qingsang to the scene. Su Qingsang couldn't help but laugh at the way he looked at her. She knew that he was expressing his goodwill to her and that there was nothing between him and Qi Shiwei. Even if he didn't do that, Su Qingsang wouldn't really be angry or do anything to him. After sending Qi Shiwei back to the villa, he asked Xiao Jiang and another new cook to take good care of Qi Shiwei. Hu Jinyao and Su Qingsang stood up and said goodbye. Unexpectedly, when he was about to leave, Qi Shiwei suddenly called out to him. Jinyao, take me to see that child sometime. Hu Jinyao was stunned for a moment and glanced at Su Qingsang. Su Qingsang received his gaze and turned to face Qi Shiwei. Shui, you're not out of confinement yet. You can see the child anytime you want. When you're out of confinement, You can see him again. Okay. After resting for a few days, Qi Shiwei's face finally wasn't as pale as before. I just want to see him. In fact, with my mother accompanying him, I believe he'll be fine. People were very strange. When there was nothing else to do, they might not necessarily believe in ghosts and gods. However, when a family member passed away, they wished that ghosts and gods really existed in this world. At least, that was a form of psychological comfort. After coming out of Qi Shiwei's villa, Su Qingsang glanced behind her. You haven't found Lian Jin yet? No. Hua Jinyao had a headache. He knows how to hide. Lian Jin was actually also from Rong City. He was very familiar with Rong City. In such a big city with a population of more than 20 million, it wasn't difficult to hide. Su Qingsang seemed to have thought of something. Do you think it's possible that he's not hiding? Huh. If he wasn't hiding, then why couldn't he be found? Chapter 6:18. No matter how much Lian Jin and Qi Shiwei didn't get along, that was still his own child, right? He might not have taken the child away because he had any dirty intentions. Previously, Hua Jinyao and Su Qingsang had both thought that perhaps Lian Jin wanted to keep the child so that he could threaten Qi Shiwei. It wasn't impossible. But now, a week had passed. If he really wanted to threaten Qi Shiwei, or if he still wanted to use the child to hurt Qi Shiwei, there were clearly plenty of opportunities. If he didn't do so, didn't it mean that he might have gone to deal with the child's funeral himself? It wasn't that Hua Jinyao hadn't thought of this possibility before. However, there are only a few cemeteries in Rong City. If that's the case, there's no reason why I can't find him. Then what if he didn't bury the child in the cemetery at all? Before Rong City was reformed, it was also the oldest burial ground. There were only a few mountains around Rong City, and there were also cemeteries of all sizes. Some of them were even cemeteries with excellent feng shui that had long been circled by some aristocratic families. Lian Jin was from Rong City, so his family might also have such a situation. If that was the case, then he might have already buried the child. Hua Jinyao narrowed his eyes. He was only thinking about the cemetery, but he didn't think about the mountain grave. However, he touched his chin, and there was a hint of doubt in his tone. Why do I feel that he doesn't seem like someone who would do such a good thing? Not necessarily. Su Qingsang was a doctor, so she was more inclined to think of people in the best possible light. No matter what, he's the child's father. It's understandable that he would do his best for the child. Right? Hua Jinyao didn't say anything. Looking at the seriousness in Su Qingsang's eyes, he suddenly leaned over and kissed her on the forehead. All right. I'll ask Yang Wenchang to check the mountain graves in Rong City. It was true that Rong City was very big, but it wasn't every day that a funeral happened, especially for such a young child. It would probably be found out with a simple check. Su Qingsang nodded and followed Hua Jinyao to the parking lot, but she suddenly stopped. Hua Jinyao? Yes. If that's really the case, I'm afraid Qi Shiwei will take it to heart again, right? She wanted to bury the child beside her mother, but Lian Jin had disposed of the child in private. If they were really buried in some mountain grave, Qi Shiwei would definitely not agree to it. By then, the child would already be buried. If Qi Shiwei was unwilling, they would make another fuss. Why did she feel that Qi Shiwei and Lian Jin's relationship was even more difficult to sever? Naturally, Hua Jinyao could also think of what she could think of. Thinking of Lian Jin sending Su Qingsang to prison, his expression was uneasy. He really has a good plan. Lian Jin secretly took the child away with this thought in mind. There was probably another layer. He wanted Qi Shiwei to take the initiative to lower her head? Unfortunately, he underestimated Qi Shiwei's stubbornness. He was afraid that she would not compromise easily. When he met Su Qingsang's clear eyes, he cleared his throat. However, that naturally has nothing to do with us. Let them be. Su Qingsang smiled faintly and pinched Hua Jinyao's hand. I'm not against you helping Qi Shiwei. She's your classmate. She's helped you time and time again, and she saved your life. If she's in trouble, it's human nature for you to help her. It's also a sign of friendship. However, I don't approve of you interfering in the matter between Qi Shiwei and her husband. Qing sang. No matter how much Qi Shiwei and Lian Jin argue, they are still husband and wife. It doesn't matter if they quarrel or hate each other. It's their own business. As bystanders, it's better for us not to interfere. Hua Jinyao pursed his lips into a straight line. Naturally, he wouldn't interfere in the matter between Qi Shiwei and her husband. However, he didn't like Lian Jin, so it was fine for him to play some tricks on him. Blinking, he opened the car door for Su Qingsang. All right, wife, don't worry. I'll listen to you. Su Qingsang turned her face to look at him. Suddenly, she moved her face closer and met his eyes. Why don't I believe you? Wife. Hua Jinyao covered his heart with one hand. I'm so sad that you think of me like that. Do you think I'm the kind of person who meddles in other people's business? Indeed not. He was just a little petty. He would repay those who had schemed against him. Su Qingsang didn't dare to say the last sentence. Seeing that Hua Jinyao was still clutching his heart, she couldn't help but laugh. She went forward and wrapped her arms around his neck. All right, I was wrong, okay? My Mr. Hua is the most aloof. He doesn't like to meddle in other people's business, and he's the most magnanimous. Is that okay? Tisk, wife. If you praise me like that, you might as well not praise me at all. Hua Jinyao put his arm around her waist. He leaned over and kissed her on the lips. You're so reluctant to praise me. Wouldn't you rather not praise me? Why would I be reluctant? In my heart, my dear husband is wise and mighty. I'm very willing. Hearing that, Hua Jinyao moved his lips to her ear and said, if you're willing, how about we do it tonight? As he spoke, he actually bit her earlobe gently. Su Qingsang's face heated up. She looked around. Fortunately, there was no one nearby. Otherwise, she would be really embarrassed. Hua Jinyao smiled and leaned over to bite her again. I'm kissing my own wife. What's there to be afraid of? This person had really become more and more improper recently. Su Qingsang wanted to laugh at him, but when she thought that she was the one who made him unable to control himself, she felt relieved. The corners of her lips curled up slightly, revealing a faint smile. Lian Jin hadn't been found yet. Hua Jinyao took this matter to heart and asked Yang Wenshang to send people to look for him. However, a few days had passed, but there was still no news. It was as if Lian Jin had disappeared from this world. Hua Jinyao didn't believe that he would let it go just like that. If he really didn't pester her anymore, it would be a good thing for Qi Shiwei. However, he was afraid that he would take away the baby and have some bad tricks up his sleeves. If that was the case, he would have to guard against it for Qi Shiwei. Although he had promised Su Qingsang that he would not interfere in their business, he would not allow anyone to bully his savior. Yang Wenshang knocked on the door when Hua Jinyao finished a video conference with the overseas company. When Hua Jinyao saw him, he thought that he was going to talk about Lian Jin's whereabouts. Unexpectedly, Yang Wenshang stood to the side, but Lu Tongjia was standing behind him. Seeing that it was her, Hua Jinyao's expression didn't change. Thinking of what Lu Tongjia had said in the hospital, he still stood up. Yang Wenshang brought the person and left. The office door closed, and Lu Tongjia walked in. She seemed a little embarrassed. Hua Jinyao was a little surprised to see her standing there without moving. Lu Tongjia seemed to be getting more and more careful in front of him recently. What's the matter? These words were spoken calmly, and there was no hint of disgust. Lu Tongjia's heart was pierced again. She was Hua Jinyao's mother. Did she have to have a reason to visit her son? Nothing much. Why did she come to the company for no reason? Hua Jinyao raised his eyebrows and thought of something he heard yesterday. Uncle and aunt seemed to have gone to the prison to see Hua Yifan yesterday, and then they went to the old mansion to see Grandpa, right? Although Grandpa had said that he wouldn't interfere with him taking over the company and had even made a will in advance. What he meant was that most of the shares under his name were going to be given to him. However, Grandpa was also a person who cared about family. If Uncle and Aunt couldn't stand it and pitied their son, they would beg Grandpa. Grandpa would definitely soften his heart again. Lu Tongjia looked at Hua Jinyao in astonishment. You got someone to follow them? It's not really following them. I just got someone to keep an eye on them. Hua Jinyao's voice was indifferent. He signed the document in his hand and put it aside. They've tried to make things difficult for me time and time again. I have to take precautions and strike first, right? What he said was right. Lu Tongjia still didn't think that she was wrong. However, she wasn't here to say that today. Are you free tomorrow? Tomorrow? What's the matter? No. It's just that your grandfather said that you haven't been back to the old mansion for dinner for a long time. Recently, because he was busy with Qi Shiwei's matter, Hua Jinyao hadn't been back to the old mansion for a while. However, tomorrow wasn't a weekend. For his grandfather to say that, it might not mean that he really wanted to see him. Hua Jinyao looked at his schedule. Other than special circumstances, his daily work had already been arranged. I'm not free. He had an appointment with a company tomorrow night. In the evening, Su Qingsang said that she wasn't on duty and that there was a new movie that she wanted to watch. He had already promised Su Qingsang, so naturally he wouldn't go back on his word. Speaking of which, there was a home theater at home. With his status, if he wanted a new movie, he could just ask someone and send it over. However, Su Qingsang liked to go to the cinema to watch movies. She said that she liked that feeling even more. In the past few days, perhaps because of Qi Shiwei's matter, he and Su Qingsang had been a little more intimate and casual. This was a very rare experience. He didn't get tired of interacting with a woman. Instead, every day he wanted to get closer to her more and more. The more he interacted with Su Qingsang, the more he found her shining points, and the more he loved her. She was cold but not cold. She was smart but not stiff. She was kind but not blind. Other than occasionally attending his childhood gatherings, the two of them stayed at home and were busy with their own things. Occasionally, they went out on dates, just like lovers nowadays. This feeling was very subtle. The smile on his face was very shallow and fleeting, but it didn't escape Lu Tongjia's eyes. Judging from his expression, he must have thought of Su Qingsang. However, he sent Lu Tongjia away with 2 cold words. She sat there and felt her entire body turn cold. Is there anything else? Hua Jinyao took Lu Tongjia's soft words that day as a momentary lapse in judgment. Lu Tongjia didn't say anything. She stood up and walked out in a daze. In fact, tomorrow was her birthday. She hoped that if possible, Hua Jinyao would come to celebrate her birthday. All these years, because she didn't like Hua Jinyao, and because she hadn't recovered from the shock of losing a son and a daughter, she hadn't been able to celebrate her birthday for more than 10 years. However, Hua Jinyao didn't know that it was her birthday, and he didn't plan to celebrate it with her. He even rejected her with such a cold attitude. Lu Tongjia was filled with sadness. What she cared about now wasn't her birthday. She only cared that her relationship with Hua Jinyao seemed to be irreparable. Hua Jinyao picked up the documents beside him. Occasionally, he would look over from the corner of his eye and see Lu Tongjia's lonely back. His brows furrowed slightly again. What's wrong? Su Qingsang looked at Hua Jinyao and found that he was a little absent-minded. The two of them had just finished eating, and Su Qingsang was organizing the papers on her laptop. Hua Jinyao sat on the other side and took care of some work on his laptop. After organizing the papers and saving them, she found that Hua Jinyao seemed to be in a daze as he stared at the screen. She leaned in front of him, but he didn't react at all. She raised her hand and waved it in front of him. Hua Jinyao finally came back to his senses. I'm fine. He just suddenly thought of Lu Tongjia's appearance today. You don't look like you're fine. Su Qingsang looked at him, and her first reaction was to think of Qi Shiwei. Could it be that Qi Shiwei found out that Lien Jin took the child away? Hua Jinyao shook his head and looked at Su Qingsang. In the end, he casually mentioned that Lu Tongjia had come to look for him today. Your mother asked you to come home for dinner tomorrow? Yes. Su Qingsang pursed her lips slightly. Lu Tongjia rarely came to look for them, except for Hua Jinyao's birthday last time. Your mother looked for you just to ask you to come home for dinner? You don't believe it either, do you? Hua Jinyao didn't believe it either. I didn't expect her to think so highly of Hua Yifan. In order to plead for Hua Yifan, she had repeatedly expressed her goodwill to him and spoke gently and softly. Hua Jinyao admitted that he was a little uncomfortable. It was also because of this discomfort that he didn't think of showing mercy when he dealt with Hu Yifan. Su Qingsang saw the unhappiness that flashed through his eyes. She thought of Lu Tongjia's reaction on Hu Jinyao's birthday, but she didn't think that was the case. Su Qingsang confirmed her guess the next day. She called back to the old mansion. The person who answered the phone was the butler, Uncle Cheng. Uncle Cheng had been the butler of the Hua family for more than 20 years. Su Qingsang asked tentatively, and the answer came out. It turned out to be Lu Tongjia's birthday. She didn't say much and hung up the phone. Su Qingsang sat in the office and was a little lost in thought. Today was Lu Tongjia's birthday. She went to look for Hu Jinyao yesterday because she hoped that he could celebrate her birthday with her. Su Qingsang stood up and went next door to tell Sun Huiya. She came back, changed her clothes, picked up her bag, and left. After driving out of the hospital, Su Qingsang had a headache. With Lu Tongjia's status, she naturally didn't lack anything. As a result, she didn't know what to give. Moreover, this gift was given on behalf of Hu Jinyao. Su Qingsang thought for a moment and called Li Qinxue to ask for her opinion. After hanging up the phone, Su Qingsang's car stopped at the intersection of Wenhua Street. She got out of the car and walked less than 200 meters forward to the entrance of Gulangxian. This was the largest antique shop in Rong City. When she had a gathering with Hu Jinyao's group of childhood friends, she had heard someone mention that this was opened by Wan Xianyang's family. She didn't plan to announce Wan Xianyang's name when she entered the door. She first looked around in the shop. In fact, she rarely came to such a place. Gulangxian was located in the middle of a cultural street in Rong City. This was the largest shop on this street. There were 3 floors. It was designed to imitate the old counters in ancient times. There were all kinds of vases and ornaments on the antique shelves around it. Su Qingsang didn't know much about antiques, so she thought that they were old. The shopkeeper inside seemed to be entertaining guests. When he saw Su Qingsang come in, he didn't immediately come over to greet her. Su Qingsang didn't mind. She first looked at the antique shelf. She had already decided that if she couldn't pick out anything, she would call Wan Xianyang. After all, it was just a thought. It didn't matter what gift it was. She took a few steps and stopped in front of a jade carving. This jade carving wasn't big. It was only the size of 2 palms. However, in such a small place, it was carved with the 8 immortals crossing the sea. Every immortal was lifelike, and even the magic artifacts in the hands of the 8 immortals looked extremely exquisite. This jade ornament was not bad, and it could be given as a gift. However, it didn't seem appropriate to give it to a female elder. "Do you like this?" A voice suddenly sounded behind her. Su Qingsang was startled. The familiar voice made her quickly turn her head, only to find that it was Zhang Yichen standing behind her. Seeing that it was him, Su Qingsang was greatly surprised. It had been more than 2 months since she returned from Sea City for disaster relief. It had been more than 2 months since she last saw Zhang Yichen. He had become darker and seemed to have lost some weight. "Uncle." Su Qingsang bowed slightly. Her voice was a little uncomfortable. "Why are you here?" "I have a few days off, so I came to visit the old master. Next month is my father's birthday, so I wanted to come here to pick out a gift for him." "Oh." Su Qingsang nodded and didn't say anything else. Zhang Yichen looked at the jade carving. "Do you like this?" "It's not that I like it. I just think it's very exquisite." Su Qingsang thought for a moment and told the truth. "I want to give it to an elder, but I don't think it's appropriate. If you buy it for yourself to play with, it's fine. If you want to give it to someone, it's indeed inappropriate." But she already had an idea, but because of Zhang Yichen's words, she couldn't help but ask. "This jade is not jadey. If you want to give it to someone as a gift, it's better to give it to someone as a gift." Su Qingsang was really a little embarrassed. "I don't quite understand. Isn't it all jade? It's not the same." As Zhang Yichen spoke, he glanced at the shopkeeper behind him, then turned to look at Su Qingsang. "If you want to give it to someone as a gift, their good stuff is upstairs. I'll take you there." Zhang Yichen was obviously very familiar with this place. As he spoke, he led Su Qingsang upstairs. Su Chingsang looked at his back and wanted to refuse, but she really didn't have much time to slowly choose now. When she went up to the second floor, she found that it was a completely different world. The storefronts below were dazzling, but the upstairs was of a different style. Different antique vases are placed in each of the compartments, but compared to the ones below, they were much more exquisite. Wang Xianying likes to play, but he has a good eye for antiques. His ancestors were in the antique business, so he's been influenced by them since he was a child. He's good at this. He rarely makes mistakes with the things he collects. You can take a look. Zhang Yichen slowed down a little, glanced around, and seemed to be explaining to her casually. Okay. Su Chingsang trusted the abilities of Hua Jinyao's childhood friends. Wang Xianying had told her a few times to come and take a look when she had the chance. She casually walked a few steps and found that Zhang Yichen had been about a meter in front of her. It was a good distance, a very safe distance. Or it was a good distance. Su Chingsang glanced at him, then turned her eyes away and began to look around. There were many good things, but none of them were good enough for Lu Tongjia's birthday present. The Hua family had blue and white porcelain, ancient calligraphy, and paintings, after all. What? You don't like anything? Not really. Su Chingsang didn't dare to say that she didn't like them. After all, every one of them was expensive. I just don't think it's appropriate to give them away. An elder? A female elder? Su Chingsang didn't deny it. Zhang Yichen looked a little serious. He glanced at her and said, "Let's go to the third floor." Su Chingsang wasn't surprised at how familiar he was with this place now. She followed him upstairs and found that it was even emptier. There were a few rooms inside. A waiter came over and greeted Zhang Yichen first. "Mr. Zhang, you're here. Should I call Mr. Wan over?" The waiter was very perceptive. Zhang Yichen had been here a few times, so he recognized him. "No need. I'll take a look first." Zhang Yichen glanced at the waiter as he spoke. "By the way, what can I give to an elder? Show us." "That's such a coincidence. Mr. Zhang, you're right to come today. Mr. Wan gambled on stones a few months ago and won a lot of good things. I just saw an honored guest off at the counter inside, and I've just finished cleaning up. There are still a lot of treasures left. Come with me. Lead the way." "This way, please." The waiter was very clever. He led Zhang Yichen and Su Chingsang to a small room on the side. They pushed the door open and entered. There was a small counter inside. There were many jade ornaments and some antiques on the shelves on both sides. There were a few paintings on the wall. They looked old, but Su Chingsang didn't know much about them. She just thought that the environment was very elegant and well decorated. While she was still admiring the paintings, the waiter had already led them to the counter. There were some bracelets on the counter. There weren't many, just a few. Even though Su Chingsang didn't know much about jade, she could tell that the jade was of high quality. The waiter was good at reading people's expressions. He didn't introduce them too much. After introducing the things in the room, he picked out two of the roundest ones and put them on the counter. "Mr. Zhang, what do you think of these two?" Su Chingsang hadn't taken her eyes off the other jade ornaments on the counter. What the waiter said next almost made her choke on her own saliva. "Mr. Zhang, look at this one. It's full of water and the quality is good. Do you think your girlfriend likes it?" "Girlfriend? Who was his girlfriend?" "I'm not his girlfriend." Chapter 619. The waiter worked for Wang Xianying. Wang Xianying was Hua Jinyao's childhood friend. Even if the waiter was wrong, Su Chingsang didn't want Hua Jinyao to hear about such a misunderstanding. She explained so quickly that she didn't notice the strange look on Zhang Yichen's face. The waiter was a little embarrassed. He looked at Zhang Yichen and then at Su Chingsang. They didn't look like a couple. It was his fault for not asking clearly. "Young Master Zhang, look at this mouth of mine." The waiter slapped him on the face lightly. He didn't apologize to Su Chingsang. Su Chingsang didn't want to waste time with this man. She glanced at the bracelet in his hand. "Let me see." "Look here." The waiter had made a slip of the tongue. He could only try to make up for it. "Miss, look at this waterhead. This is the glass type from an old pit in Myanmar. This color, this transparency. I'm not bragging. Put this bracelet on your wrist. You'll look like a rich lady. Su Qingsang glanced at the waiter and couldn't help but laugh. Her eyes fell on the bracelet. It was indeed beautiful. Even someone like her, who didn't know anything about jewelry, could see that the bracelet was extraordinarily beautiful. She had some impression of Lu Tongjia's hands. They were very white and smooth. A bracelet like this was indeed very suitable for her. I'll take this one. Okay. The waiter had seen many customers who were straightforward, but Su Qingsang's decisiveness still surprised him. She answered without thinking, took the bracelet and wrapped it up. Su Qingsang took out her card and handed it to him to pay. Because Zhang Yichen was standing on the side, once the waiter left, only the two of them were left in the room. She felt a little uncomfortable being alone in a room with a man and a woman. She turned her face away and pretended to look around casually. The furnishings upstairs were all very exquisite. Not to mention the others, just the antique shelf looked like it had been there for a long time. Su Qingsang's interest was aroused. She glanced at the shelf on the side and was suddenly attracted by something. It was a jade carving, much more exquisite than the 8 immortals crossing the sea downstairs. The stone was not much bigger than a fist, and there were pavilions and terraces carved on it. However, there were tiny figures in the pavilions and terraces. He leaned over to take a closer look, and it turned out to be the 12 beauties of Jinling from Dream of the Red Chamber. Each of the 12 hairpins had their own representative action. Jade burying flowers, treasure hairpin catching butterflies, and so on. Although they looked small, they had both form and spirit. Even though Su Qingsang had seen a lot of good things after marrying Hu Jinyao, she was still amazed by the exquisiteness of this jade carving. If it weren't for the glass separating them, she would have reached out to touch it. What kind of craftsmanship was required to carve the jade into such a lifelike appearance? If you look carefully, you can almost see the expression on Lin Daiyu's face, which is full of sorrow and sorrow. Su Qingsang couldn't help but stare at the jade carving for a long time. On the other side, the shop assistant had already wrapped up the jade and swiped the card. He handed the card and the small bag to Su Qingsang. Take it. There are also certificates inside. Everything that goes out of our Bo Gu Zhai has an ID card. You are welcome to find someone to verify its authenticity at any time. Su Qingsang didn't respond. Naturally, she was willing to believe in Wan Xianying. Speaking of which, that person had said that he wanted to chase Shi Mengwan to France. Who knew what happened after that? Maybe she could ask Shi Mengwan today. She took the things and found that Zhang Yichen was still there. She nodded slightly at him. Thank you, uncle. Thank you for today. You're welcome. Zhang Yichen's voice was indifferent. Wan Xianying isn't here, so I'll make the decision for him. Then I'll leave first. Wan Xianying walked to the side. Su Qingsang bowed and walked forward. After she left, Zhang Yichen glanced at the ornament she was looking at just now and told the shop assistant to wrap it up. He took the jade carving and picked out another gift for the old man. Zhang Yichen finally left. He thought that the dozens of minutes he was late was enough for Su Qingsang to leave. He didn't expect that when he walked to the antique street, he would find Su Qingsang still standing there. What's wrong? Su Qingsang was a little embarrassed to see him. Just now, she had casually walked around a small shop next to the antique street. When she came out, she found that her car was gone. My car seems to have been towed away. I'm taking a taxi here. He said that parking was not allowed here. Su Qingsang didn't know that. She looked at the faint white line on the ground. She thought it was a parking space. She didn't expect that it wasn't a parking space. Now her car was towed away. She wanted to take a taxi, but for some reason, there wasn't a single taxi here. Parking is not allowed here. Taxis are not allowed either. Zhang Yichen's voice was indifferent. You've been in Rong City for a long time. Don't you know? It was a simple question, without any intention of blaming her. But it successfully made Su Qingsang blush. She only had a few fixed places here. Most of the time, she would be with Hu Jinyao. She really didn't pay much attention. Let's go. Where are you going? I'll give you a ride. As he spoke, he had already started walking forward. It's okay. I can walk to the front and take a taxi. Su Qingsang's words made Zhang Yichen turn around. His body was straight. His eyes fell on Su Qingsang's face. Are you afraid of me? Why would I? Su Qingsang was a little embarrassed. Speaking of which, he was not only Hua Jinyao's uncle, but also her savior. She twitched the corner of her mouth and smiled a little stiffly. Then I'll have to trouble you, uncle. The word uncle made Zhang Yichen's eyebrows almost imperceptibly furrow. He started walking forward. Su Qingsang was about a meter behind him, not too far away from him. After turning a corner, Su Qingsang saw the sign for the parking lot. She was too focused on buying Lu Tongjia a gift and was a little distracted. She got into Zhang Yichen's Hummer. He put the bag in the back seat. Su Qingsang saw him carrying the box just now. You bought what you wanted? Yes. Where are you going? Su Qingsang looked at the time. She had wanted to go back to the old house first. She looked at the time and saw that Hua Jinyao was still at work. Take me to Jinyao's company. I'm going to see him. When she said Hua Jinyao's name, even if she didn't notice it, Zhang Yichen could hear that her tone had softened a little. His expression didn't change. He calmly drove the car to Tianyu Group. It was very quiet in the car. During this time, Su Qingsang received a phone call. It was from Li Qianxue. She asked her how the gift shopping was going. Su Qingsang told her about the bracelet she had just picked out. Li Qianxue didn't say anything. She only told her that she had to prepare for such things in advance next time. Although the bracelet wasn't unpresentable, it still didn't seem sincere enough. Although Li Qianxue didn't like Lu Tongjia, Su Qingsang was already the daughter-in-law of the Hua family. Of course, she wanted her daughter to live a harmonious life. Su Qingsang chatted with Li Qianxue for a while. Because she was talking to her mother, her voice sounded a little intimate. The hospital isn't busy recently. It's okay. There's nothing else. You video call me every day. If something happened to me, you would have known long ago. Speaking of which, Su Qingsang was glad that she had left soon after being taken away by the police. Otherwise, Li Qianxue would have been worried. Mom, I'm already a grown-up. Why are you still talking about this? I know. I will. Su Qingsang didn't know what the other side of the phone said, but her voice was tinged with a smile. All right. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about me and Hua Jinyao. We have a good relationship. We even made plans to watch a movie together tonight. However, she couldn't go. She had to go back to the old house to celebrate Lu Tongjia's birthday. Hearing Li Qianshue's words, Su Qingsang smiled again. Yeah, it's okay. She was a little coquettish. She didn't need to care about what the person on the other end of the phone was saying. She just needed to look at her. Her eyes were curved, and there was a smile on her lips. Zhang Yichen glanced at her and pursed his lips a little more. He looked forward again. Seeing the signal light turn green, he started the car again. Not long after Su Qingsang hung up the phone, the expression on her face wasn't as relaxed as she appeared to be. Ever since Su Peijian lost so much face in Lin City and tried to set her up, she and the Li family had a tacit understanding not to mention Su Peijian again. Including this time when Su Peijian went to jail. She didn't tell Li Qianxue either. Now, she was a little conflicted. Li Qianxue and her grandfather didn't know. They didn't know, so they didn't know. But should she tell Su Qinghui or not? We're here. Zhang Yichen's voice snapped her out of her trance. Looking at the Tianyu Group building in front of her, Su Qingsang turned around and thanked Zhang Yichen before getting out of the car. Qingsang, your things? Su Qingsang found that her bag had fallen in the car. She really found that she seemed to always let Zhang Yichen see her a little embarrassed. She quickly picked up the bag and headed to the Tianyu Group. Su Qingsang didn't recover until she entered the elevator. She went upstairs to look for Hua Jinyao. He happened to be in a meeting. Su Qingsang looked at the time. There was still half an hour before he got off work. The other secretaries in the secretarial office knew Su Qingsang, so they didn't dare to neglect her and led her to the office to sit down. Mrs. Hua, President Hua's meeting will end in 10 minutes. You can wait for him here. Thank you. You're welcome. Zhang Yang and Yang Wenchang accompanied Hu Jinyao to the meeting. Otherwise, a small secretary like her wouldn't have the chance to entertain Su Qingsang. After placing the flowers on the table for Su Qingsang, the secretary left. Su Qingsang sat on the sofa, took out her phone, and scrolled through her WeChat moments. She didn't have many friends. Other than family and friends, most of them were colleagues and classmates in the hospital. Sometimes, people would discuss Weibo in their WeChat moments. There would often be some academic exchanges, which were quite interesting. Before she finished scrolling through her WeChat moments, Hu Jinyao had already arrived. When he entered the door, he didn't know that Su Qingsang was also there. Zhang Yang and Yang Wenchang followed behind him. I don't want to delay the merger any longer. Hurry up and solve it. And the land in H City, let the people in the branch company. Qingsang? Su Qingsang stood up at that moment and smiled at Hu Jinyao. Jinyao, Secretary Zhang, Assistant Yang. Hello, Mrs. Hua. Hello, Mrs. Hua. You guys go out first. Do as I say for the rest of the matter. The two of them quickly left. After the door closed, Hu Jinyao looked at Su Qingsang, who was walking towards him, and reached out to put his arm around her waist. What's wrong? Didn't we just make an appointment to watch a movie tonight? Why are you so eager to see me? Yes. Su Qingsang also put her arms around his waist. Can't I? It's my honor. Hu Jinyao kissed her on the lips. As if he had thought of something, he said, I had a contract to sign tonight. In order to focus on the date with you, I signed the contract in the afternoon. How is it? How's your husband? Yes. My husband is the best in the world. Hu Jinyao pinched her nose and withdrew his hand under her protesting gaze. Let's go. What do you want to eat tonight? I'll listen to you. Then let's go to private restaurant. Hu Jinyao tidied up the things on the table, then picked up the car key. It's new, but I went with Cheng Xianyun and the others last time. It tastes good. Okay. Su Qingsang didn't object. Her hand touched her bag, which still contained her gift for Lu Tongjia. When Hu Jinyao came over, she walked in front of him and reached out to hook her arm with his. The two of them went out and entered the elevator. Su Qingsang suddenly turned her face. Jinyao? Yes. Speaking of which, it seems that we haven't gone back to see Grandpa and the others for a long time. Why don't we go back to see Grandpa? You mean back to the old house? You see, Aunt Zhou and Aunt Wang's cooking is no worse than outside. Why should we go out to eat? Hu Jinyao narrowed his eyes and looked at her. Su Qingsang said calmly, What do you think? I haven't eaten Aunt Zhou's cooking and Aunt Wang's soup for a long time. Why don't we go home for dinner today? He stared at her face for a long time. The elevator had reached the first floor. Hu Jinyao glanced at her and finally nodded. The car stopped in the parking lot outside the Hua mansion. When Hu Jinyao got out of the car, he saw the Hummer at first glance. He glanced at Su Qingsang, then stared at the Hummer for a long while. Su Qingsang blinked. She didn't expect that Zhang Yichen would come. Didn't he say that he was going back to see his father? Let's go. Hu Jinyao withdrew his gaze and put his arm around Su Qingsang's shoulder. Lu Tongjia sat in her room. She didn't look too good. Hu Mingguang came back very early today. He knew that it was Lu Tongjia's birthday. Happy birthday. He gave the gift that he had prepared in advance to Lu Tongjia. Lu Tongjia took it and thanked him. She didn't even want to open the gift. She just put it aside. Hu Mingguang sat down next to her. What's wrong? Don't you like my gift? Lu Tongjia shook her head. Hu Mingguang sighed and said, Should I call Jinyao and ask him to come back? I don't want you to call him back. If he wants to come back, he can come back on his own. So what if he came back? He didn't really come to celebrate her birthday. If Hu Mingguang had to beg him to come back, he might as well not come back. Hu Mingguang was about to say something when someone knocked on the door. Soon, Uncle Cheng's voice came from outside. Sir, madam. Young master and young madam are back. Okay, got it. Hu Mingguang responded. He turned to look at Lu Tongjia with a faint smile in his eyes. He's back. He came on his own. Lu Tongjia's eyes were filled with joy. But soon, she glared at Hua Mingguang. You really didn't call him back? I didn't. Hua Mingguang took her hand and asked her to go downstairs with him. Jin Yao must have remembered that it's your birthday today, so he came to celebrate it with you. Hua Mingguang's words made Lu Tongjia smile even more. She quickened her steps. Hua Mingguang felt a little emotional seeing his wife like this. If it hadn't been for what happened years ago, Lu Tongjia and Hua Jinyao would have been like any other mother and son. Although they had wasted more than 10 years, it wasn't too late to make up for it from now on. The two of them went downstairs together. Lu Tongjia's joyful face froze when she saw Zhang Yichen. Cousin-in-law. Zhang Yichen stood up first and greeted them. Su Qingsang and Hua Jinyao also stood up. Dad? Auntie? Yes, Lu Tongjia responded. She looked at Zhang Yichen and then at Su Qingsang. It turned out that Hua Jinyao's disgust for Su Qingsang was back. She walked very slowly to the sofa and sat down. Hua Mingguang followed her. Of course, he didn't know what Lu Tongjia was thinking. He was very close to Zhang Yichen, his cousin. The group of people sat down again. Old Master Hua sat on one side of the U-shaped sofa. Hua Jinyao and Su Qingsang sat opposite him, while Zhang Yichen sat next to Old Master Hua, which was the middle seat. Lu Tongjia and Hua Mingguang came down. Zhang Yichen stood up and gave them the seat close to Old Master Hua. He sat on the other side. However, this way, he sat close to Su Qingsang and Hua Jinyao. Lu Tongjia's face darkened when she saw that. Hua Mingguang noticed that his wife didn't look well, so he turned to Hua Jinyao. Jinyao, what brings you here today? I remember that you have a contract to sign today? I signed it this afternoon. Hua Jinyao glanced at Su Qingsang and said, Qingsang said that she wanted to see Grandpa, so we came over. He was happy to show Su Qingsang's power in front of the Hua family, and he was also happy to make Su Qingsang look good in front of the Hua family. Su Qingsang nudged him gently. How could he talk like that? What did he mean by she wanted to see Grandpa? Didn't he want to see him? Grandpa, don't listen to his nonsense. He wanted to see you himself. Old Master Hua's stroke was serious, but it wasn't serious either. After almost having a stroke, his hands trembled a little when holding things, but other than that he was fine. After being discharged from the hospital, there were professional doctors and nurses to take care of Old Master Hua. Hua Jinyao was actually very concerned about him. Lu Tongjia's face darkened. So these two people didn't even know her birthday? Were they only here to see Old Master Hua? Su Qingsang saw Lu Tongjia's face from the corner of her eye. After knowing that she had come to see Hua Jinyao yesterday, she suddenly understood Lu Tongjia's pride and awkwardness. Speaking of which, although it's important to see Grandpa, there's something more important today. Chapter 620. What? Old Master Hua couldn't be blamed for forgetting Lu Tongjia's birthday. Lu Tongjia had been unwilling to celebrate her birthday for the past decade. He was getting on in years, so he naturally forgot about it. Today is Auntie's birthday. As Su Qingsang spoke, she took out the box containing the jade bracelet from her bag and nudged Hua Jinyao. Jinyao and I went to pick out this gift early in the morning. Auntie, this is for you. I wish you a happy birthday and a long life. Su Qingsang wanted Hua Jinyao to take the gift to Lu Tongjia. However, Hua Jinyao was also stunned by her words. When he came in just now, Old Master Hua's expression didn't change. He didn't look like he pitied Hua Yifan and didn't want her to save him. He finally understood why Lu Tongjia had come to him yesterday and asked him to come back for dinner tonight. So today was Lu Tongjia's birthday? He looked at the box in Su Qingsang's hand. It was the packaging of Wan Xianyang Sku Langxian. He knew at a glance. He turned to look at Su Qingsang. She was thoughtful. Su Qingsang was also looking at him. She stared at the box and signaled for him to take it and give it to Hua Jinyao. Who was Lu Tongjia? Hearing Su Qingsang's words, her heart was filled with joy. But looking at her son's performance, how could she not know? Perhaps Hua Jinyao didn't even know his birthday, and Su Qingsang was just telling him. Looking at the box in Su Qingsang's hand, she lost all interest in it. Especially when she saw that Hua Jinyao was staring at the box in a daze and had no intention of handing it over, she felt even more suffocated. If her son didn't sincerely celebrate her birthday and didn't even know it was her birthday, then what was the point of celebrating? Old Master Hua also realized that it was Lu Tongjia's birthday today. Being a smart man, he could easily tell that Hua Jinyao and Su Qingsang were behaving like this. He immediately laughed. Look, I'm getting old, and my memory is getting worse. He had forgotten that it was Tongjia's birthday. It was also my fault. Aching, go to my room later and take out the set of emerald jewelry that the old woman left for Tongjia to celebrate her birthday. The butler, Uncle Cheng, who was standing at the side, was a smart person. He immediately replied, Yes. I'll go get it now. How is that appropriate? Lu Tongjia knew what Old Master Hua was talking about emeralds. It was a set of extremely precious jewelry left behind by old Madame Hua. The old lady used to like it and often wore it. Later, as she grew older, she took it off and said that she would give it to her daughter-in-law. Although this was the case, the old master was still alive. He often thought of seeing things and didn't want to pass it on. It was only a small birthday present, so it was obvious that the gift was a little too much. After all, he had said that he would leave it to his daughter-in-law, not which daughter-in-law. Nian Chuanya was still on the other end. There's nothing inappropriate about it. These farms will all be yours in the future. The old master waved his hand. Uncle Cheng had already brought the things over. Lu Tongjia had already seen the set of jewelry, so she wasn't in a hurry to open it. She was not in a good mood, even though she had received a gift. After all, the person she cared about and wanted the other party to remember her birthday didn't remember her birthday. Zhang Yichen was sitting there. He had been surprised when Su Qingsang walked into the room. He had heard from her that she was going to watch a movie with Hua Jinyao today, so he came over. He didn't expect that he would come here instead of going to the movie. He couldn't help but feel a little uneasy when they met. Especially when he met Hua Jinyao's understanding gaze. He wanted to get up and leave, but he felt that it would be too deliberate, so he continued to sit. He could only rejoice that he had already given a gift to old Master Hua when he came over from Gu Langxian. Otherwise, Hua Jinyao might think too much about it if it was placed together with Su Qingsang's gift in the same packaging. Old Master Hua was in a good mood. He called Auntie Zhou and asked the kitchen to add more food. He also asked Zhang Yichen to stay for dinner. Since he had spoken, Zhang Yichen had no reason to refuse. With this, Su Qingsang had a chance to give Hua Jinyao a look. No matter how much he didn't like Lu Tongjia on the surface, it was Lu Tongjia's birthday. As her son, he couldn't be too cold, could he? Hua Jinyao saw her look and knew that she was doing it for his own good. He felt a little helpless, so he reached out and pushed the box in front of Lu Tongjia. Mom, happy birthday. These words were said very softly. Lu Tongjia was a little unhappy at first. Seeing Hua Jinyao like this, she couldn't get angry. Her dissatisfaction with Su Qingsang lessened a little, and she took the gift. She opened it and saw that it was a bracelet of excellent quality. She glanced at Su Qingsang again. She knew that the bracelet was a good color. You guys are very thoughtful. She put the bracelet back. In the end, she didn't dwell too much on the fact that Hua Jinyao didn't remember her birthday. With more than 10 years of estrangement, it was impossible to repair it in a day or two. She knew that she still felt a little sad. Hua Mingguang knew what she was thinking, so he reached out and squeezed her hand. Although the atmosphere wasn't particularly harmonious, it wasn't particularly awkward either. Hua Mingguang talked to Zhang Yichen, while Hua Jinyao talked to Old Master Hua about the recent situation. As long as Old Master Hua didn't ask him to get Hua Yifan out of prison, he was willing to cooperate with anything else. After dinner, Hua Jinyao hadn't played chess with Old Master Hua for a long time, so the two of them played chess in the living room. Lu Tongjia saw that her son was staying to celebrate her birthday with her. They had been close during dinner, so she felt a little better. After instructing Aunt Zhou to bring some tea and snacks outside, she was about to leave when Uncle Cheng came in. Madam, should I put this in the storeroom for you, or in your room? The Hua family was a big family. Every time they received a gift, they had to register it. Next time, they would have to return the favor. Old Master Hua wasn't the only one who had his own storeroom for treasures. Hua Mingguang and Lu Tongjia also had a room for their treasures. Put it in my room. Although Hua Jinyao hadn't picked it out himself, it was the first gift the couple had sent. Lu Tongjia planned to wear it when she went out in a few days. Got it, madam. Uncle Cheng was in charge of the Hua family's affairs. He took the box and was about to go upstairs. However, Lu Tongjia saw another box in his hand. Wait a minute. She took a few steps forward and looked at the box in Uncle Cheng's hand. The packaging of the box was also from Gu Langxian. What is this? This? Uncle Cheng looked at the larger box and didn't understand why Lu Tongjia was suddenly interested in asking this. This is a gift from Third Master Zhang to Old Master Hua. I was busy just now and forgot to put it in the storeroom. Although Zhang Yichen was young, he was senior. He was Hua Yangxiu's son and ranked third. The other two families called him Third Master Zhang. Hua Yangxiu's grandson called him Young Master Zhang. Third Master has good taste. It's a decoration made of sandalwood. It's said to be a new gift from Gu Langxian. Old Master Hua likes it. Lu Tongjia didn't have time to see if the gift was exquisite or not, nor did she care if Old Master Hua liked it or not. She stared at the box. What else didn't she understand? Good. It was really good. Such a big green hat had been put on Hua Jinyao's head. He even used her as a cover. That was really enough. She was annoyed and angry. However, her face didn't change at all. Since it's a gift from Zhang Yichen, take it and keep it. She was the mistress of the Hua family, so she naturally had the ability to not show her emotions. Now that she was provoked by the two similar boxes in front of her, she was so angry that her head was about to explode. However, her face didn't change at all. She waved for Uncle Cheng to leave, then turned around and walked into the living room. Halfway through, she stopped again. She felt that she couldn't swallow her anger. Then she went to the living room. In the living room, Hua Jinyao and Old Master Hua sat face to face and were talking. Su Qingsang sat next to Hua Jinyao. She didn't know how to play chess, but she was willing to sit there and accompany him. Zhang Yichen and Hua Mingguang sat next to Old Master Hua. Zhang Yichen was about to leave. However, Old Master Hua hadn't seen him for a long time and asked him to stay to talk. He hadn't had much rest since the disaster relief. This time, he had a rare vacation, so he really wanted to see Old Master Hua. He didn't refuse and talked about some things about the disaster relief. In fact, he had made 2 more great contributions this time. There was no need to talk about the dangers and the several times he had almost lost his life. He picked some small things and told Old Master Hua a little. However, because Su Qingsang was sitting opposite him, it looked like the two of them were sitting face to face. Seeing this, Lu Tongjia felt that her anger began to rise again, and a fire burned in her heart. Forcing herself to calm down, she took a few steps forward and looked at Su Qingsang. Qingsang, your grandfather and Hua Jinyao will play chess for a long time. Why don't you come to the garden with me? Do you want to take a walk to digest your food? Su Qingsang didn't have a good relationship with Lu Tongjia. She was a little surprised to hear Lu Tongjia call her. She couldn't help but glance at Hua Jinyao. Hua Jinyao was focused on playing chess. Remembering that it was Lu Tongjia's birthday today, he didn't think much of it and nodded slightly at Su Qingsang. Su Qingsang stood up and took Lu Tongjia's gesture as a gesture of goodwill. It's my honor that Auntie is interested. She stood up and followed Lu Tongjia outside. In the eyes of Old Master Hua and Hua Mingguang, Lu Tongjia's gesture was a sign that she was willing to lower her status to show goodwill. They were relieved for a moment. Big families hoped for family harmony the most. Only Zhang Yichen stared in the direction where Su Qingsang and Hua Jinyao left. When he looked away, there was a hint of contemplation in his eyes. Su Qingsang followed Lu Tongjia out of the courtyard. It was summer, and Rome City was also very hot. Occasionally, a breeze blew in at night, adding a bit of coolness. Su Qingsang followed behind Lu Tongjia. She was surprised to see that Lu Tongjia was only walking to the back of the garden. She could only follow behind her slowly. The Hua family's garden was very large. There were many rare green plants and a special greenhouse. Lu Tongjia walked to the door of the greenhouse and pushed it open. She turned on the light, and the view of the greenhouse was unobstructed. Su Qingsang had stayed in the Hua family for a long time. Naturally, she knew how carefully the greenhouse was decorated. Seeing that Lu Tongjia didn't say anything, Su Qingsang's eyes fell on a rose. The rose was blue. She had grown it at home, and it was rare for it to bloom so beautifully. This one is beautiful. Uncle Li has put in a lot of effort. Lu Tongjia didn't respond to her. She walked straight to Su Qingsang and looked her in the eye. She didn't hide her eyes at all. Su Qingsang felt a little strange when she was looked at with such disgust and disdain. Auntie, don't call me that. Lu Tongjia only felt that Su Qingsang was dirty. Su Qingsang, you're so disgusting. What she said was a little unpleasant. Su Qingsang frowned. Auntie, if you just want to humiliate me, then I won't keep you company. Then I won't keep you company. She walked past Lu Tongjia to walk out of the greenhouse, but Lu Tongjia blocked her way and wouldn't let her leave. Su Qingsang, how can you be so shameless? Su Qingsang stood there without moving. Her expression was a little serious. What do you mean that you and Jinyao picked a gift for my birthday? You picked the gift yourself, didn't you? What does it have to do with Jinyao? So it was about that. Su Qingsang pursed her lips and said, I did choose the gift, but Jinyao, don't mention Jinyao to me. Lu Tongjia's voice rose a few octaves. She paced back and forth, stopped in front of Su Qingsang again, and reached out to point at her nose. You bewitched Jinyao and made him lose his mind. He listened to everything you said and believed everything you said? Auntie? Jinyao, do you have Jinyao in your heart? Su Qingsang, tell me, who did you pick the gift with? Su Qingsang was stunned. Who did she pick the gift with? She picked it herself. She just met Zhang Yichen by chance. Can't tell you? Lu Tongjia sneered. Can't you tell me? Why don't I tell you? Zhang Yichen picked the gift with you. Husband and wife. What a shameless couple. You just want to hide your dirty thoughts. You came here to celebrate my birthday with me? Don't you think it's disgusting? Su Qingsang looked at Lu Tongjia, stunned. She couldn't believe that Lu Tongjia would say something like that. Auntie, don't call me that. Lu Tongjia felt bad hearing Su Qingsang's voice. Don't you feel guilty? The two of you went out to have a secret date, and you came here with my birthday to disgust me? Su Qingsang, do you think there's no one in the Hua family? You're sure that Jinyao likes you, cares about you, and turns a blind eye to your shameless behavior, aren't you? Su Qingsang couldn't help but frown. Her words were so harsh that even she couldn't help but frown. Auntie, Uncle and I are not what you think. Uncle? What uncle? You know he's your uncle? Aren't you filthy and disgusting? Lu Tongjia didn't want to hear Su Qingsang's explanation. She stared at her with a serious expression. Su Qingsang, I'm telling you, there's only one way for you to go now. What? Divorce. Lu Tongjia's voice was extremely cold and merciless. I'm telling you, you have to divorce Jinyao. Stay away from Jinyao and the Hua family. Divorce? Su Qingsang looked at Lu Tongjia and didn't take her words seriously. That's impossible. She had nothing to do with Zhang Yichen. Ever since the incident with Qi Shiwei, her relationship with Hua Jinyao had become as sweet as honey. How could she be willing to leave Hua Jinyao? Impossible? Su Qingsang, you can't be too shameless. Lu Tongjia really felt sorry for Hua Jinyao. Don't even think about seducing Jinyao. I'm telling you, I won't allow a woman like you to spend the rest of your life with Jinyao. Su Qingsang felt a headache coming on, but now she saw the difference. If Lu Tongjia said this to her before, it was because she felt that she had embarrassed the Hua family. Now that he said this, it seemed that he really felt sorry for Hua Jinyao. Auntie. Su Qingsang didn't want to explain her relationship with Zhang Yichen. Hua Jinyao trusted her anyway, so she didn't have to say too much. However, Lu Tongjia's identity was different. Uncle and I are not what you think. I just wanted to pick out a gift for you today, and I happened to go to Wan Xianyang's shop. You know that they all know each other. I didn't expect to see Uncle there. I'll say it again, I'll leave after I pick out a gift for you. If you insist on associating me with uncle, it doesn't seem appropriate. Coincidence? Coincidental? You didn't expect it? Inappropriate? Lu Tongjia nodded repeatedly. You're good at finding excuses for yourself. Do you think I'll believe you just because you say that? Don't think that I don't know how many times you two have hugged in places where Jin Yao can't see. Oh, and we don't need to see you. You can even do it in places where I can see you. It's ridiculous that you're still saying that for yourself. Auntie, don't you know what happened that time? Su Qingsang didn't want to bring up the past, but Lu Tongjia wouldn't let it go. She was angry. If you hadn't drugged uncle, he wouldn't have lost his composure like that. I drugged him? Lu Tongjia was so angry with Hua Jinyao that she lost her mind, so she didn't defend herself. Seeing Su Qingsang like this, she was furious. How many times have you two hugged in places where I can't see? Do you still need me to drug that bastard Zhang Yichen? She used to admire Zhang Yichen and thought that it would be good if he could build a good relationship with Hua Jinyao. She hated Zhang Yichen so much now. Uncle and niece-in-law. How could he do that? No wonder Jinyao is so protective of you. I don't get along with him. You and Zhang Yichen did those dirty things, but you blamed me for it. Su Qingsang, you're really good at scheming. Su Qingsang was stunned by Lu Tongjia's words. She was not an idiot, and she immediately found out that something was wrong. What did she mean by she and Zhang Yichen had hugged in places where she couldn't see? What did she mean by they didn't need her to drug them? What did she mean by she was blaming her? What? Are you feeling guilty? The two of you are openly hooking up with each other in the Hua family's territory. You're trying to drive a wedge between Jin Yao and me. Su Qingsang, how can you be so vicious? She and Hua Jinyao's relationship had been weak for more than 10 years. But if it weren't for Su Qingsang, Hua Jinyao wouldn't have treated her like this. Su Qingsang ignored Lu Tongjia's words. She looked up at Lu Tongjia, who was agitated and seemed confused. Are you saying that on the day of the Dragon Boat Festival, you weren't the one who drugged uncle? Su Qingsang, even at a time like this, you're still blaming me for what happened between you and Zhang Yichen? If it wasn't you, then who was it? Su Qingsang only cared about this question now. This was the Hua family. Who could do something to Zhang Yichen in the Hua family? And then put the blame on her? Su Qingsang, don't change the topic. Who drugged Zhang Yichen? If it weren't for you, no one would have had the chance, right? All right. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. You just need to promise me that you'll divorce Jin Yao tomorrow. You don't have to talk about the rest. Who knew who had drugged them? Maybe it was just an act to deceive people? I won't divorce Jin Yao. Su Qingsang wasn't in the mood to think about who drugged him. If she told Hua Jinyao about it later, he would find out immediately. She looked at Lu Tongjia and said in a low voice, Jin Yao and I are husband and wife. Jin Yao and I are husband and wife. Since we are married, it is impossible for us to divorce. Su Qingsang, what Qingsang wants to say is also what I want to say. Lu Tongjia froze for a second when she heard the voice. She turned around and found that Hua Jinyao had come out. He looked at Su Qingsang, who was standing in the greenhouse with a determined look on her face. He walked a few steps forward and stood in front of her. Mom, I won't divorce Qingsang. You won't divorce her? Don't you know that she cheated on you? Don't you know that she and you? Su Qingsang could do it, but Lu Tongjia didn't want her son to be too sad, so she didn't say it out loud. She couldn't swallow the anger in her heart. Hua Jinyao, if you're still a man, divorce her. If you're still a man, divorce her. Hua Jinyao looked at Lu Tongjia with a complicated look in his eyes. He looked at her carefully and found that she was much better than before, when he always looked at her with his guard up. I believe in Qingsang's character. Please believe in Qingsang's character as well. She won't do anything to hurt me. Hua Jinyao. Mom, this is all a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Lu Tongjia was furious. Hua Jinyao glanced at Su Qingsang and said, It's cold outside. You go in first. I need to talk to Mom. Jinyao? Su Qingsang looked at him worriedly. She wasn't worried that Hua Jinyao wouldn't believe her. She was just worried that he would argue with Lu Tongjia. Today is Auntie's birthday. I don't need your fake kindness. Lu Tongjia got even angrier when Hua Jinyao mentioned her birthday. Su Qingsang used the excuse of buying her a birthday present to meet Zhang Yichen in private. As soon as she arrived, she would feel uncomfortable and flustered. Su Qingsang felt helpless. Hua Jinyao shook his head at her. Su Qingsang felt helpless. She squeezed his hand worriedly, then turned and left. After she left, the greenhouse quieted down. Lu Tongjia had just vented her anger, so she was still upset. She was angry with Hua Jinyao. She was angry that her son didn't have any sense of propriety. She was angry that Su Qingsang had him in her hands. She was even more angry that she had lost all her prestige. She was not close to Hua Jinyao, so he wouldn't listen to her at all. All kinds of emotions were mixed together, but none of them could make her happy. Chapter 621. Mom. Hua Jinyao's tone was soft. Qingsang and I are not what you think. Qingsang is not what you think either. As for Uncle, he is not what you think either. Seeing that Lu Tongjia was still angry, Hua Jinyao didn't want to explain. However, he remembered that Lu Tongjia wasn't the one who poisoned him. At that time, he was blinded by anger. Now that he looked back, there were many suspicious points. After all, no matter how much Lu Tongjia disliked him, she couldn't ignore the Hua family's reputation. Not to mention that there were so many guests and relatives there that day. She wouldn't have made a big deal out of it, and she wouldn't have allowed such a thing to happen. He was prejudiced and a little paranoid. Because of this, Hua Jinyao didn't look so angry. You've been poisoned by Su Qingsang. You are out of your mind. Lu Tongjia was very angry. She took a step forward. For the first time in so many years, she took the initiative to approach Hua Jinyao. Jinyao, I didn't stop you from doing anything you did before. If you wanted to find someone with a lower status, I wouldn't stop you. But Su Qingsang can't. She has a moral problem. Jinyao, I won't allow a person with a moral problem to be your wife and the future mistress of the Hua family. After all, not everyone could become the matriarch of the Hua family. Hua Jinyao knew that she was angry and disliked Su Qingsang. He didn't care about some things before, but now he couldn't ignore them. Calm down and be objective. Hua Jinyao put his hands on Lu Tongjia's shoulders. His expression was calm. I am calm. I am calm. That's why I thought, I know how Uncle feels about Qingsang. His words interrupted Lu Tongjia. She stared at Hua Jinyao with her eyes wide open. What did you say? I know you like Qingsang. Hua Jinyao's expression was very calm. No, maybe it's not enough. It should be love. He loves Qingsang. Lu Tongjia's face turned pale. She stared at Hua Jinyao. But Qingsang doesn't know. How is that possible? Mom. Hua Jinyao had a feeling that he was back when he was a teenager. Lu Tongjia blamed him for all those things. Back then, he didn't want to explain himself, but this time, he wanted to. Uncle probably didn't know Qingsang's identity when he met her. Hua Jinyao didn't know what to say. There were some things he knew, but he didn't want to ruin his relationship with Su Qingsang with suspicion. Qingsang doesn't know what you're thinking. What you saw was just an accident. Accident? That time, I will find the person who drugged him. He would not allow such a person to exist in the Hua family. It wasn't too difficult to investigate these matters. But please believe me on one point. Qingsang had absolutely no feelings for her uncle. I know they may often come across something that makes you uncomfortable. But in fact, I'm really glad that you had feelings for Su Qingsang. Hua Jinyao. How could he say something like that? Was he still a man? Lu Tongjia's face turned green. Uncle saved Qingsang's life. Hua Jinyao held her shoulder and tightened his grip. I almost lost Qingsang. Almost. The last time I went to Sea City, there was an earthquake. Qingsang was trapped under the rubble. It was her uncle who saved her. I don't care what you think of Uncle, and I don't want to care what you think of Qingsang. But I hope you understand that I'm very grateful to Uncle. From the bottom of my heart. Lu Tongjia didn't know about these things, and no one would tell her. She thought about the earthquake that killed hundreds of people, and that her son had also stayed there for many days. At that time, she was very worried about Hu Jinyao and blamed Su Qingsang in her heart. However, she didn't know that Su Qingsang had almost died. I'm jealous that the person who appeared that day wasn't me. But I'm also glad that Uncle was there that day. Otherwise, I would have lost Qingsang now. And that outcome was absolutely unacceptable to him. You didn't do it that day. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Lu Tongjia couldn't keep up with her thoughts. She looked at Hu Jinyao. It was the first time in so many years that she had heard her son apologize. Her lips moved. She wanted to say something, but she didn't know what to say. Her eyes suddenly turned red. I'm sorry. Hu Jinyao apologized very seriously. I shouldn't have misunderstood you. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. Lu Tongjia's eyes were not only red, but also a little sour and hot. She felt something coming out of her eyes. Mom, let's get over what happened in the past, okay? Qingsang is a good girl. I hope you can put aside your prejudices and seriously accept her. You'll find that she's better than you think. Lu Tongjia didn't hear the second half of the sentence. She only heard the first sentence. Jinyao? Hu Jinyao turned his face slightly. When he looked at Lu Tongjia again, his expression was a little excited. At least, he wasn't as calm as he appeared. It was Lu Tongjia's birthday today. She came to look for him yesterday. On his birthday, Lu Tongjia brought a cake to his apartment. Hu Jinyao thought about it and understood some things very clearly. It would be a lie to say that there was no barrier in his heart at all and that he didn't mind at all. However, Lu Tongjia was his mother, the person who gave birth to him. Especially after seeing how haggard Qi Shiwei had made herself because of her pregnancy, he sometimes couldn't help but wonder if Lu Tongjia had also had such a hard time when she was pregnant back then. Some things were in the past. It was hard to recall the past. Even if he couldn't be as close to Lu Tongjia as a normal mother and son, he really didn't want to be like an enemy to Lu Tongjia anymore. Hu Jinyao looked at Lu Tongjia and used a very soft voice to hide the trace of helplessness in the depths of his heart. Can I? Lu Tongjia's lips trembled. She blinked her eyes, and tears flowed down her cheeks. At this moment, she couldn't care less about Su Qingsang. She just looked at Hu Jinyao in disbelief. He had scolded her viciously just now. He had clearly misunderstood her actions of taking the initiative to express goodwill several times. Now that he had put on such an attitude, Lu Tongjia couldn't accept it. For a moment, she thought that there was something wrong with her ears. Jinyao. Perhaps because she couldn't believe it, Lu Tongjia's expression changed a few times. She hastily wiped away her tears and looked at Hu Jinyao with some uncertainty. Jinyao, is what you said true? It's all true, Mom. Hu Jinyao nodded. No matter what, he was willing to repair this mother-son relationship with Lu Tongjia. Lu Tongjia stood there motionlessly. She was a little emotional. She didn't think that it would be so easy to repair their mother-son relationship with Hu Jinyao, but at least this was a beginning. The great joy made her speechless. One moment she was a little surprised, and the next moment, she was a little regretful. Would he be angry at her for treating him like that before? Her emotions were complicated. At this moment, she couldn't care less about Su Qingsang. She was only thinking about what Hu Jinyao had said. He was willing to repair their relationship again. He was willing to start all over again. Although it was ridiculous to say that after all, they were mother and son. But she was really excited, inexplicably excited. Her shoulders were slightly shaking. She lowered her head and couldn't find her voice. Hu Jinyao looked at her. He really didn't know that Lu Tongjia cared about him so much. Inexplicably, he felt a little sad, but he didn't say a word. Although the temperature outside was getting better, it was getting late. Hu Jinyao looked in the direction of the main house. Mom, let's go in. Lu Tongjia nodded. Seeing that Hu Jinyao was about to leave, she suddenly pulled his sleeve. Jinyao? Mom. Did you mean what you said just now? She asked a little nervously and didn't know what to do. He meant it. He also wanted to divert Lu Tongjia's attention. He wanted her to stop staring at Su Qingsang. Lu Tongjia smiled again and wiped the tears on her face. Very good. Very good. The words, good, were enough to explain Lu Tongjia's current mood. When they walked to the door of the greenhouse, Lu Tongjia suddenly stopped. Jinyao. I'm sorry. Hua Jinyao was stunned by her sudden apology. He turned his head and looked at her in confusion. I'm sorry, Lu Tongjia said again. She lowered her head and seemed to be a little embarrassed. I really wasn't a good mother, Jinyao. It was difficult to admit that she was wrong. Although Lu Tongjia wanted to reconcile with Hua Jinyao, she had made too many mistakes in the past 10 years. She was actually worried that Hua Jinyao wouldn't forgive her. Mom, it's okay. It's all in the past. He had grown up. He was no longer the boy who had nightmares at night and wanted his mother to comfort him. He was not the kind of person who would go against the heavens and the earth just because of a moment of anger and make everyone unhappy. Since it was all in the past, he would let it go. Jinyao. Mom, it's all in the past. Then let it go. Don't even think about it. Lu Tongjia's heart was in turmoil. She had a lot to say, but she couldn't say a word. Hua Jinyao walked outside and took the initiative to stand with Lu Tongjia. The main house was brightly lit. Hua Jinyao walked very slowly, taking care of Lu Tongjia's emotions. Go ahead. Qingsang is the person I chose. I know you have some prejudices against her, but she's really a very good woman. She's not what you think, so don't target her in the future. But, Uncle saved her life, and he's a relative of the Hua family. It's impossible for the two of them not to see each other in the future. I've already told Uncle about this. What happened before was an accident. Don't take it to heart. Accident? Lu Tongjia still felt wronged for her son. Do you know that they went to buy gifts together today? Lu Tongjia looked at Hua Jinyao with heartache in her eyes. Jinyao, I don't hate her. I just feel sorry for you. You protect her wholeheartedly, but she has ulterior motives. Do you know that Mom. Hua Jinyao had a headache. Wan Xianyang and Uncle know each other. It's normal for Uncle and Qingsang to run into each other in his shop. Can't you think so much? Yes, it's normal to run into each other in Wan Xianyang's shop. Is it normal to run into each other in our house? Lu Tongjia was so angry that she almost lost control. Her voice was a little louder than before. Mom, of course it's normal for Qingsang to go to Wan Xianyang's shop to buy gifts for you. As for coming to our house, Grandpa is Uncle's uncle. It's normal for him to visit Grandpa. You're not going to blame Qingsang for Uncle's visit every time he comes, are you? Hua Jinyao didn't hear Qingsang talk about buying gifts, but he could roughly guess. It would be ridiculous to think that Su Qingsang and Zhang Yichen met each other because of a romantic relationship. He wasn't a person who couldn't tell right from wrong. But, Mom, Qingsang doesn't know about Uncle's feelings. She only sees him as an elder and a relative. If you continue like this, Qingsang might really find out. You have to know that Uncle saved Qingsang's life. If Qingsang finds out about Uncle's feelings, what will she do? Hua Jinyao's life, except for the disaster that happened to him when he was young, had been pretty much anything he wanted. However, he wasn't blindly arrogant. There was always someone better than him. There were people more powerful than him. He admitted that Zhang Yichen was one of the people who was stronger than him. Even if Zhang Yichen wasn't his rival in love or his uncle, Hua Jinyao still admired him. He had an indescribable appreciation for Zhang Yichen. He was honest and upright. Even if he liked Qingsang, he didn't do anything. His relationship with Zhang Yichen couldn't go back to how it used to be. But he didn't want to become enemies with him like this. More importantly, he didn't want Qingsang to feel embarrassed when she found out. She would feel uncomfortable when she was with Zhang Yichen in the future. It would be best to treat him as a relative and uncle. Lu Tongjia had a complicated expression on her face. She didn't like Qingsang, but Hua Jinyao's words seemed to make sense. If Qingsang didn't mean it, she kept saying it. Maybe Hua Jinyao was interested in her even if she didn't mean it. But, no buts. Mom, I trust Chingsang's character and Uncle's character. I trust Uncle more. If you want, you can do what you did in the past and in the future. Lu Tongjia finally stopped talking. The two of them walked to the gate and happened to meet Zhang Yichen, who was walking out. Cousin-in-law, Jin Yao. Uncle. Hua Jin Yao greeted Zhang Yichen very calmly. Are you leaving? It's so late. You can leave tomorrow. No need. Zhang Yichen glanced at Hua Jin Yao and shook his head. I have a mission in the army. I haven't seen you for a long time, so I came to see you. Okay, but it's so late. Be careful on the road, Uncle. I know. Thank you. Zhang Yichen bowed, said goodbye to Lu Tongjia and then left. He got into the car. After starting the car, Zhang Yichen glanced at the Hua family's gate again. His eyes were gloomy. He thought of Su Qingsang, who came in from the garden when he sent old Master Hua back to his room. She stood at the corner of the stairs and saw him coming downstairs. She called him. Uncle. Zhang Yichen stopped and looked at Su Qingsang, not knowing why she called him. Uncle, I haven't thanked you for what happened in Sea City last time. Zhang Yichen frowned, and his expression was a little cold. You already thanked me at the hospital. That's different. Su Qingsang's eyes were clear, and there was a hidden meaning in them. It's not enough to thank you for saving my life. Zhang Yichen's expression became more and more serious, but Su Qingsang suddenly smiled. Uncle, I know what you're capable of, and I'm afraid that with your status, you won't need me. But I still have to say, if you need me in the future, don't hesitate to ask. I'll do my best. Even if I can't do it, Jin Yao will help me. After all, you're Jin Yao's uncle, and I'm Jin Yao's wife. That will never change. Zhang Yichen looked at her face and seemed to understand. Su Qingsang turned her body to the side. Uncle, you're not an ordinary person, so you should have a lot of work to do. I won't see you out. He understood at that moment that she must have known. She knew what he was thinking, and she also knew the deepest secret in his heart. She was such a smart woman. Even if he tried to restrain himself, how could she not see it? He didn't expect that she would directly ask him to leave after she found out. She would reveal that kind of information again. At that moment, he was really crazy with jealousy. He was jealous of Hua Jin Yao. Thinking of the tone of her last sentence, he suddenly smiled. Forget it. He had made 2 great contributions this time, and the higher-ups couldn't reward him anymore. After all, he was not old enough. If he continued to rise, it would be too fast. The higher-ups wanted him to go to the southwest to train the newly established secret force. Since that was the case, he would accept the task. He would have to stay there for at least 2 or 3 years. In another 2 or 3 years, he might forget about these thoughts. Zhang Yichen took a deep look at the old house of the Hua family, then started the car and left. This time, he wouldn't come back for a while. When Hua Jin Yao returned to his room, Su Qingsang had just finished the video call with Li Qianxue. As soon as she went upstairs, she received a video call from Li Qianxue. Li Qianxue really cared about her. Today was Lu Tongjia's birthday. She was always worried that if the gift wasn't to Lu Tongjia's liking, she would make things difficult for her poor daughter again. Su Qingsang had to repeatedly say that Lu Tongjia liked the bracelet very much. Although it wasn't a big party, the atmosphere was good, so she didn't have to worry. Who are you talking to? She seemed to have heard her talking before she entered the room. She came in and saw her lying on the bed with her phone in her hand, which confirmed her guess. What do you think? Mother-in-law. Su Qingsang sat up. My mother knew it was your mother's birthday, so she was very nervous. She was afraid that I didn't give her a good gift and made your mother unhappy. In fact, Lu Tongjia was indeed unhappy. Thinking of this, Su Qingsang felt a little embarrassed. She had wanted to repair the relationship between Hua Jin Yao and Lu Tongjia, but she didn't expect that not only would it not be repaired, but it would also make Lu Tongjia so angry at her. I didn't expect that my flattery would backfire. I made your mother completely angry. That's not true. My mother is quite happy. Hua Jin Yao walked to her side and sat down, but his words made Su Qingsang laugh. She turned her face to look at Hua Jin Yao, with a bit of sarcasm in her eyes. Hua Jinyao, you're quite good at lying through your teeth, aren't you? What do you mean by lying through my teeth? Your mother is forcing me to divorce you, but I'm not going to marry you. Why is she still happy? Judging from Lu Tongjia's attitude just now, not to mention divorce her, she would even eat her heart raw. She asked you to divorce her, so you divorced her? Didn't you agree? It doesn't matter whether I agree or not. The important thing is whether you agree or not. As Su Qingsang said this, she straightened up and held Hua Jinyao's face with both hands. Her expression changed to a serious one. Or, you've already promised your mother to divorce me, so your mother is happy? Hua Jinyao's reaction was to pull her hand down, put it to his lips, and bite it. Nonsense again. Su Qingsang pulled her hand back with force. She glared at Hua Jinyao and said, if I'm not talking nonsense, then please tell me, young Master Hua. What do you plan to do with me now? Hua Jinyao grabbed her hand again and held it in his arms. He leaned forward and kissed her on the lips. What do I plan to do with you? Hold hands for the rest of our lives and grow old together. What do you think? He said it in a joking tone, but he sounded very serious. Su Qingsang looked at him, and her heart skipped a beat. However, thinking of Hua Jinyao's attitude just now, she didn't believe him. You want to spend the rest of your life with me? Will your mother agree? She was convinced by me. Hua Jinyao's words made Su Qingsang's eyes widen. She couldn't believe it. How did you convince her? She had always felt that making Lu Tongjia accept her was as difficult as climbing the Himalayas. Are you going to tell me or not? Su Qingsang couldn't help but pinch her waist. She was still trying to keep her in suspense. I'll tell you if you kiss me. Su Qingsang rolled her eyes at him, leaned over, and kissed him on the lips. Hua Jinyao wasn't satisfied. He held her waist and deepened the kiss until Su Qingsang was out of breath. He didn't let her go until she was out of breath. I'll tell my mother. I'll tell her that you're the only wife I plan to marry in my life. If she insists on divorcing me, I won't marry anyone else in the future. I'll stay single until I'm old. If she's willing, I don't care. Why was this man so flippant? Su Qingsang looked at the expression on his face. She should have been moved, but she wanted to laugh at his flippant attitude. Will your mother agree if you say that? What else? Hua Jinyao looked at her and smiled. She can't really let me stay single forever, can she? Then our branch will have no descendants. Su Qingsang patted Hua Jinyao's shoulder hard. However, she reached out to hold his waist and rubbed her face against his chest. Your mother won't object to it anymore, will she? If I'm not wrong, she probably won't. Su Qingsang was relieved. In fact, she wasn't afraid that Lu Tongjia would object. However, if the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law didn't get along and were always on opposite sides, she would feel very embarrassed. More importantly, Hua Jinyao felt that way. It wasn't that he didn't love Lu Tongjia anymore, and she didn't want to face Lu Tongjia's sarcasm every time she returned to the Hua family. That's great, Hua Jinyao. That's great. Chapter 622. Hua Jinyao's hand gently stroked her back. He could feel the relief and disbelief in her voice. He gently patted her back. Don't worry. My mother knows. Even if Lu Tongjia really didn't want to believe it, it didn't matter. If they got along well, they could spend more time together. If they couldn't, they didn't have to stay together. As long as he was there, he would protect her. It was only a matter of time whether Lu Tongjia accepted it or not. Su Qingsang looked at him and smiled at him. She wasn't particularly worried about it, nor did she particularly care about it. She just wanted to have a good relationship with the Hua family instead of being hostile every time they met. Especially when that person was Hua Jinyao's mother. She didn't want that to happen. After saying what she wanted to say, she pushed his body and said, "Excuse me. I'm going to take a shower." When she was about to get up, Hua Jinyao suddenly held her hand. He turned over and pressed his body on top of hers. She was stunned, blinked, and looked at Hua Jinyao. What's wrong? The bracelet you wore today is very beautiful. My mother likes it very much. Did you pick it out from Xianyang? Yes. Alone? Xianyang didn't accompany you? No. Su Qingsang shook her head, looked at Hu Jinyao, and added, I met my uncle. He took me upstairs to pick it out. What a coincidence. Su Qingsang didn't like to hear his sarcastic words. What a coincidence. I made an appointment with him to pick out jewelry together. Then we did something else. As she spoke, she held Hu Jinyao's face with both hands. She raised her chin slightly, and the corners of her eyes were full of seduction. Guess what else we did? No matter what we did, I was jealous. Hu Jinyao grabbed her hand, leaned over, and bit her lips. Su Qingsang couldn't help but bite back in pain. As they nibbled, their lips were glued together. Hu Jinyao's kiss was a little rough, which showed that he was indeed unhappy. Su Qingsang didn't care. She did run into Zhang Yichen, and they did pick out a gift for Lu Tongjia together. She did not think there was anything to hide. Even if Zhang Yichen had feelings for her, he was a relative of the Hua family and had saved her life. She couldn't treat him as a stranger or hate him. She believed that as long as she behaved properly, she would not be afraid of being criticized. She knew what Zhang Yichen was thinking, even if he had never shown it in front of her. But she still knew. During those few days in Sea City, she had a fever and was dizzy. He thought he was going to die a few times. As her consciousness blurred, a liquid flowed into her lips. She was very thirsty. He didn't care about anything else as he gulped down the food. At that time, she didn't know that she had drunk Zhang Yichen's blood. There was no light in the narrow space. Everything depended on feeling. She remembered a dazed moment of consciousness. She was thirsty and hungry. His lips were dry and cracked, and it was the most uncomfortable time. At that moment, the warm wrist was placed next to her lips. She only realized that something was wrong after taking 2 sips. That smell was not water. It was blood. She wanted to open her eyes, but even if she did, she couldn't see anything in the darkness. She heard Zhang Yichen's breathing and his heartbeat. After she knew what she was drinking, she couldn't drink anymore. At that moment, in a daze, she heard Zhang Yichen's words. Very softly. You have to live. You have to live. The man's voice was hoarse, and he was weak from excessive blood loss. 2 simple words, but they contained too many emotions. Su Qingsang had a fever and was in a daze, but in the end she could only let herself pass out. She was not stupid. She could understand some things after connecting the dots. When she woke up in Sea City and heard that she was saved by Zhang Yichen, she understood everything. But she would rather not understand anything. She couldn't ask Zhang Yichen about it, nor could she show any extra attention to him. She was married, and she had someone she loved. She could only let Zhang Yichen down. Her attitude today was not very good. It could even be said that she was quite cold-blooded. She treated her savior like that. She could be considered a heartless person. But she had no choice. Who was Zhang Yichen? He was a senior colonel, and he was about to be promoted. He was also a relative of the Hua family. It was impossible and absolutely not allowed for there to be even the slightest hint of ambiguity between them. Even if it was just a thought, it wouldn't do. Her lips hurt again, and she came back to her senses. Hu Jinyao was staring at her face. His eyes were burning, and there was a hint of dissatisfaction in them. She suddenly smiled. When she smiled, Hu Jinyao became even angrier. TSK, thinking about another man in front of me. Su Qingsang, you don't want to live, do you? Su Qingsang nodded and admitted it generously. Wrapping her arms around his neck, she leaned over and bit him on the lips. I want to die. She put her lips close to his ear and said very slowly, I want to die. Hu Jinyao's eyes darkened, and his eyes turned red. He wanted to swallow this woman alive. At that moment, Su Qingsang rolled over and pressed him under her body. You want me to die? Su Qingsang purposely let out a sigh when she said the word, die. At this moment, Su Qingsang was like a demon. Hu Jinyao believed that he was willing to turn into Tang Seng and let her squeeze him dry. Don't worry. Hu Jinyao pulled her waist into his arms. Tonight, you're dead. Su Qingsang responded to him with a series of soft laughter. Those thoughts had already been tossed beyond the highest heavens at this moment. There was only her and him in front of them. They had each other. When she got up in the morning, old Master Hua and Hua Mingguang were still there. Su Qingsang and Hua Jinyao had gone too far last night. She almost couldn't get up. If she hadn't remembered that this was the Hua family at the last minute, she would have slept until noon. When she passed by Lu Tongjia, she found that although Lu Tongjia's face wasn't kind, it was at least gentle. Grandpa. Grandpa dead. Auntie. Su Qingsang also greeted them. However, the way she addressed them was a little different. Lu Tongjia frowned and looked at Su Qingsang in front of her. Her lips moved, but she wanted to say something, but she didn't. The weather was a little hot, and Su Qingsang was wearing a silk shirt today. Lu Tongjia sat diagonally to her side. Because the collar of Su Qingsang's shirt was a little big, from her angle, she could see a kiss mark on Su Qingsang's collarbone. Her expression was a little strange. Halfway through the meal, Hua Mingguang glanced at Hua Jinyao. Hua Yifun's plan has been interrupted for a long time. We don't know how much manpower and material resources we invested in it. You, don't worry about that plan. I've already asked someone to start again. That was Qi Shiwei's painstaking effort. He wouldn't let anyone else touch it. Even if Hua Jinyao wanted to do it, he had to be personally involved. Hua Mingguang still felt a little uncomfortable when he thought of what Hua Jinyao had done. However, he didn't say anything else. Lu Tongjia tugged at Hua Mingguang's sleeve. She had made up her mind to repair her relationship with Hua Jinyao. She wouldn't let her son be unhappy. The meal was peaceful. Lu Tongjia saw the hickey on Su Qingsang's neck several times. She wanted to ask when they were planning to have children, but she couldn't bring herself to ask. Forget it, our relationship has just recovered. If there's anything else, we'll talk about it later. Hua Jinyao was about to leave after dinner. However, he seemed to have thought of something and went to the kitchen. If Lu Tongjia wasn't responsible for the incident on the Dragon Boat Festival, then who could it be? If the Hua family had such a person with evil intentions, it would definitely be an unpredictable bomb to the Hua family. He would not allow such a person to exist in his family. He called Auntie Zhou, Auntie Wang, Uncle Cheng, Xiao Xia, and Xiao Jiang over. Hua Jinyao rarely interfered with family affairs. Lu Tongjia was in charge of most of them. Seeing him like this, they were all startled. The Hua family's house was their own place, and the surveillance cameras were only installed outside the house. Therefore, he could only ask these people about what happened on the day of the Dragon Boat Festival. Uncle Cheng came out first to explain the situation. Because the Hua family had dinner outside that day, the servants in the house didn't have to do anything. After dinner, the Hua family and the guests came back. The kitchen began to make soup to sober up. Then, everyone was sent to their respective rooms. When Su Qingsang got into the car, she found that Hua Jinyao didn't look too good. What's wrong? Did he have a conflict with Lu Tongjia again? Hua Jinyao narrowed his eyes and said coldly, I realized that I let Su Peijian go too easy on her by letting her go to jail for 5 years. Su Qingsang froze for a moment when she heard those words that came out of nowhere. Looking at Hua Jinyao, she thought of what Lu Tongjia had said the day before. She suddenly thought of something. The person who drugged Uncle was Su Peijian? Hua Jinyao glanced at her. The look in his eyes confirmed everything. Is she crazy? Su Qingsang suddenly closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she was a little unsure. No, she wanted to say that how would she know? However, she thought of something else. It wasn't the first day that Zhang Yichen had feelings for her. She didn't know, but others could see it clearly. Su Peijian was a smart person, and she was deliberately targeting her. Of course, she wouldn't miss any opportunity. She didn't say the second half of the sentence, and Hua Jinyao didn't care. He really didn't want Su Qingsang to know about Zhang Yichen's feelings. It was good that she didn't know. She's in jail now. Hua Jinyao's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. If you want her to go to jail for a few more years, it's not impossible. Those who bullied his woman had to pay the price. He didn't know about it before. If he knew, he wouldn't let Su Peijian go so easily. Speaking of which, Sue Pasian hadn't done anything evil like murder or arson, but everything she had done had stepped on Hua Jinyao's bottom line. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.